All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Give it to the
Should have done the community center again.
Right.
I didn't.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's meeting. We could probably try to find some more chairs if everybody wants. Are you guys okay back there?
Okay, but there's people up there to stand.
Well, George and Dave, why don't you come down here? Well, I know we're going to have to move anyway. And Chris, do we have more chairs? You know what? If anybody wants chairs, there are a couple in the break room. There's about 4 chairs in there if anybody wants to grab. Okay. Welcome, everybody. The only thing that I have on the agenda is to withdraw under community liaison reports, the request by the bookkeeper. That's being withdrawn. And I have nothing else to add. Is there anything anybody needs? Okay, with that, can I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Okay, Dan, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Does anybody have any announcements? Any announcements by any board members? Okay. We're going to get to public input, and just very quickly, for tonight's board meeting, let me just do a real quick little overview. I guess a lot of you are here because you know about the presentation about a project that will be coming to New Paltz, hopefully, that has incredible benefits to us. And so we're going to pretty much spend most of the evening on their presentation and then a discussion about this project for next steps. We tried to keep sort of the agenda a little bit light because of this presentation, because it's a big project and it's the first time it's been presented publicly, that we want to allow people to have the opportunity to absorb it and whatever. Also, there's a New York Rising startup, well, not New York Rising, the Startup New York that you probably see advertised all the time, the Tax-Free New York initiative by the governor. And the College of New Paltz sent up their presentation to the state sent it back. Now it's come to the different taxing jurisdictions to weigh in, and then we have to give feedback by April 2nd. So after the presentation, the second thing we're going to be taking on is the Tax-Free New York presentation by the college, and then we just have some bookkeeping stuff to basically do. So that's really pretty much tonight's agenda. So with that in mind, I will open up the floor to public comment, and if anybody would like to speak, just please come up there, say your name, and Ira. Go ahead.
I just want to take up anybody else's
Good.
time.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
I've been thinking about what I consider the bullying and threats done by the college's representative about Park Point. I did some research, and I hope my number is right, but I believe at the meeting they said that they had to have no more than a $10 million assessment. And I said to myself, well, wait a minute. According to ORPS, assessments have to be fair and comparable, and because if they're not, you destroy the whole taxing system, and that's part of the regulation from ORPS. Now, I don't know if the college and the state can force you to give them the $10 million assessment, but what happens is that if you do that, you leave yourself open, according to what I'm reading, to people coming to the BAR and say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to pay more than 25% of what you think my assessment is, and that will, destroy everything. My development, okay, which pays full taxes, is assessed at $8,500,000. We have maybe 300 people there. We have maybe 12 children going to the schools. So this is a disaster waiting to happen in terms of what can and cannot be done. Now, I know the board, and I know Kevin said they don't want it, but just like the IDA is basically telling, from what I'm reading, we could all go to heck. They've decided to do this, and if you don't like it, too bad. I mean, this is a whole bunch. This is a couple of unelected people who have no responsibility to anybody but the people that appointed them. they could care less what happens here. The other part is that when you look at the tax-free zone, again, it doesn't hurt the village, it hurts the town. Because the village, they only have a very limited number of taxpayers anyway, and from what I'm seeing, and I may be wrong, Mayor West seems to be trying to get rid of the established businesses, so he has room to put these tax-exempt businesses in. He also appears to be trying to get rid of the landlords, because if the landlords are gone, then all the students must go to this project, and this project makes a lot of money. I'm not saying that's true, I'm saying this is my interpretation of what I'm seeing happening. And the other point I want to bring up about that is an unintended consequence as I look at it.
You do have to start wrapping it up, but go ahead.
I'm sorry?
You do have to start wrapping it up, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
a very quick point. It may be my paranoia, and if I'm wrong, fine, I don't care. If I'm right, people are going to get hurt. Once the college has this tax-free zone and their dormitory in place, are they going to release their enforcers onto the town and village under the claim that we have to protect the college? Now, right now, all the enforcers can do is give you traffic tickets and raise state, money for the state. But I'm thinking, seeing how this is going on, seeing that the college could care less what happens here, are they going to do, if somebody doesn't like, has a complaint at one of their tax-free stores, are they going to send these people out? Because there is no recourse for any damage or anything, violation done by the enforcers on the college. There is no review, there's nothing. It's whatever they want to do, they can do. And I'm not saying this has happened, and it may be my paranoia, but it is a possibility, and I would hate for somebody to say, well, I don't care, they tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but I hate to be right and somebody get hurt and have no recourse. And it's something that I think you should be looking at, is how to protect the citizens from something like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ira. The only thing I just want to make sure everybody knows, we cannot and we will not change what the assessor assessed that project at. That's the assessment. However, that's not to say that the IGA will not give a pilot based on that assessment, because that's what they choose to do. Right. But we're totally against it. We go up all the time. They know how we feel. But like you said, it's 6 appointed people who said they have no skin in the game. Right. Unfortunately, we do.
And it's a bad choice.
What's a bad choice?
If they make that choice.
Oh, it's a bad choice, that's for sure. Okay, so anyway, would anybody like to speak? Okay, so with that, we're going to turn the presentation over to Jennifer and to Steve. I do know at some point the board's going to have to move, so I don't know if you're starting from the very beginning with... Okay, so we're going to sort of move out of the way. Would you like us to sort of turn down the lights?
Reverse direction.
Yeah. We are going to have a PowerPoint, and Steve is going to start speaking.
Right.
And we have a few comments afterwards, so you
Okay.
can certainly sit here.
Well, we don't want to be in the way of the, and we want to see the presentation.
Yeah.
But we also need, Steve, we want you guys to have a microphone. So you're going to use that microphone?
This works. Can you
That
hear me?
works? Great. Okay, terrific.
Yeah, my well, you know what?
I'll take that.
Let's see how this works. I think I can see okay. Okay, no, translate. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Turf. My wife Shelley and I own and operate the Rocking Horse Ranch Resort in Highland and Splashdown Beach in Fishkill, New York. We have a lot of exciting plans to show you tonight, but first I'd like to take a moment to introduce our team members and discuss what we've created over the years living right here in the community. Part of our immediate development team includes attorney Jennifer Van Tile and Rob Levine, who will be steering us through this approval process throughout time. They're from Cuddy and Fader, architects Josh Johnson and Jason Sorcy from ADCI in Madison, Wisconsin, Ross Swinglovitz from Engineering Properties, right, from Montgomery, New York. Second row, my wife Shelley. Hi, Shell. And in the back, Tim Mikowski, our Recreation Aquatics part of General Management Team, MOD. Kathy Combs, some of you might recognize from 36 Main. right here working with us as Assistant Food and Beverage Manager. Rocco Timone, CFO, Chief of Staff, and really our number 2 person in the company. Scott Butler, our in-house engineer, Chief of Engineering and Property Management and Maintenance at Rocking Horse, and some helping Andrew, who's next right there, who helped with a lot of the creativity, the design work with the architects, who's also the GM and all the projects we do in Fishkill at Splashdown. Monica Davis. Hi, Monica. All right. Tamara. I said it. Tamara Murray. So, here. Tamara Murray. She just came aboard to us as part of our marketing director under Kyle. Kyle, stand up, our GM at Rocking Horse. He'll be running the projector. All right, okay. That's a job for tonight. Erica Tantillo, who is the assistant to Kenneth Vandermark, who is our executive housekeeping director. Kenneth? And here's our assistant barn foreman. Scott's not here. Who happens to know Everett. Everett, hi Everett. Very well. All right. TJ, who you might have seen on ESPN, he's very photogenic. Did an ad for ESPN with the Dallas Cowboys, filmed right at Rocking Horse Ranch. Right? He played a bad hombre. Okay, so Rocking Horse Ranch is a 120-room all-inclusive resort catering to families with children between the ages of 1 to 12 years old. The property features year-round activities including horseback riding, 4 heated pools, water slides, both indoor and out, a winter park with skiing and snow tubing, and a private lake with banana boat rides, water skiing, kayaks, and paddle boats. Each year, the ranch has been awarded the TripAdvisor Traveler's Choice Award and is currently ranked 7th on TripAdvisor's list of the top 25 family resorts in America. In comparison, of the 5 Disney resorts listed, Rocking Horse is ranked ahead of all but one, Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Rocking Horse currently employs a year-round team of 200 staff members, and this number swells to 350 during the summer season. In 2004, our management team purchased Splashdown Beach Water Park in Fishkill, New York, and immediately we added several $1 million in new rides and attraction. The water park now greets approximately 200,000 visitors annually. In 2010, Splashdown Beach was secretly audited by AOL Travel and earned a top rating as one of America's cleanest water parks. In 2011, Splashdown became the only Bob the Builder licensed water park in North America, securing our position as a premier destination in the elementary family market. I've been very fortunate to live and work in the area. I love the family hospitality business. It's our niche. And as we explore new opportunities, I believe New Paltz and the immediate Hudson Valley region serve as a wonderful destination for young families and our newest vision, Wildberry Lodge. And there's our logo. I love river otters. Absolutely love river otters. To be clear, as you will see from our presentation, this is not going to be your typical indoor water park hotel. It just can't. Nor with all that, with the surrounding, because primarily of what the surrounding area has to offer. And nor will Wildberry compete with huge resorts like Great Wolf Lodge and Kalahari Resorts. In contrast, Wildberry Lodge is a smaller scale, boutique indoor water park resort, more suited to this beautiful region we call Hudson Valley, we call our home. Most importantly, we would be doing a disservice to our guests, local businesses, and the citizens of New Paltz if Wildberry Lodge were to have a fortress or private resort mentality. Instead, our design is based on bringing our guests into New Paltz and the greater Hudson Valley region. We believe that there's such a unique appeal to the area, boasting nearly 30,000 acres of pristine wilderness at Minnewaska State Park and Mohonk Reserve, stunning backdrops that give families a wonderful opportunity to enjoy hiking, climbing, biking, and much more. Then right into the downtown village itself, with literally dozens of shops, boutiques, restaurants, museums, and art galleries. Historic Huguenot Street, the Unison Art Center, the Dorsky Museum, moving over towards the river, the walkway over the Hudson, the Culinary Institute, West Point Military Academy, and my personal favorite, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Library and Museum. There's pick your own orchards, there's wineries, distilleries, and much, much, much more. All of these excursions can and will be planned through our complimentary trademark Adventure Concierge Service Program. And we're excited. We'll talk more about it in detail. Wildberry Lodge is situated to be a perfect recreational complement for families on the go and ready to explore New Paltz and the greater Hudson Valley region. So let us begin. What you see here, and if I could get my pointer focused, Kyle. Well, it's not cooperating, Kyle. All right, I got to keep my finger on it. What you see here is the 57-acre site that is currently owned by Sam Plesser. It sits contiguous with the New York State Thruway, and at the northern portion it butts up against Route 299. To the east, you see South Ohioville Road. The lodge itself, I'm pointing to the lodge right here. This is the main entrance, the porte cochere, the main lobby, and right here are the lodging, the hotel residence portion. The lodge will consist of 250 guest rooms of various sizes, including suites for families. The lodging portion of this facility would be 4 stories tall. The central lobby will have access to all facilities indoors, and activities, by the way. Our conference center and ballroom. Attached to the main lodge, the conference center and ballroom will have space for upwards of 600 guests, making it one of the largest facilities in the Hudson Valley. The ballroom will be able to host large dinners and events. This 10,000 square foot space would have soundproof operable walls, giving the hotel the option to hold multiple events simultaneously, or simply scale the size of the meeting room to an entertainment space to an event planner's needs. Attached to the lobby as well are 2 of the central restaurants that would be offering. The lobby would have access to these restaurants and actually a small cafe. Of the 2 restaurants, one will be designed to accommodate hotel guests offering traditional fare, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I actually, as just a side note, I envision the theming here to be based on one of my old ways to show horses, wherever in the family, Ulster County Fairgrounds. I see a lot of paraphernalia, a lot of pictorials, and some of the menu items for some of the more healthier choices that fair offered. But, you know, Ulster County Fair is one of the more agricultural fairs, and some of you remember we used to show our Belgian draft horses up there. And I see that kind of tying into this kind of county fair theme for the family restaurant. Attached to the family restaurant would be our cafe, offering fresh juices, baked treats, and of course a specialty coffee. We preferably would like to feature a local vendor in that particular location. The second restaurant is envisioned as more of a boutique restaurant featuring a signature chef. This would be a bit more of an upscale offering. The indoor water park itself, at the indoor water park level, in the lower level, would feature 2 faster dining options available to families. These are for families who would rather stay in their swimwear and do not want to leave the water park, be serving such typical fare as pizza and freshly made sandwiches. As well, complementing food and beverage, I see a demonstration kitchen. Whether it's hosting regional top chefs, promoting sustainable fare, or simply hosting cooking classes, a kitchen of this size and scope with the access of the Culinary Institute of America literally 15 minutes away, this I think could be a home run. It would serve as the perfect adult ed backdrop for parents at Wildberry while their kids are out playing. The indoor water park itself. The indoor water park will be the premier indoor amenity. That's the largest facility right here, at approximately 70,000 square feet in size. It attaches directly here to the hotel. The indoor water park will include aquatic activities and water rides for guests of all ages, but primarily for families with young children, elementary age children primarily. The indoor water park will consist of several water slides, including a giant family raft ride, as you see here, a lazy river, a small wave pool, and huge rainforest. The rainforest is a 4-story interactive aqua play structure with dumping buckets, as you see here, geysers, fountains. Also, that's a picture of the lazy river as well here, by the way. This area down here. Squirt guns and multi-valve aqua stations where kids control water flow through water trees. There'll be smaller water slides built right into the aqua structure, right in the back there. In warm weather, guests will have access to outdoor water park, a small oasis featuring a splash pad and free-form pools. There'll be water slides literally carved into rock. The family hot springs as well. So this is the back of the indoor water park. This is the indoor water park tower. Situated on the southern portion of the indoor water park would be our smaller outdoor water park for hot summer days for guests to enjoy. The outdoor water park would also include the family hot springs. This is a spa that guests would enter from the indoor of the water park and have the ability to pass through under kind of a weather-tight door and be able to enjoy hot springs year-round, during a blizzard, in fact. Yeah, so it'd be fun. So we go back into the lobby, Kyle. All right. I had to say that, you South Park fans. Okay. What you're going to see here is a gigantic climbing facility. Yes, this will be located in the southern portion of the lobby. This is over 5 stories tall. And truthfully, this will be the second indoor anchor attraction. It would also help to emphasize that the hotel's mission is in catering to the active family that really, puts an emphasis on recreation. Hotel guests will be able to sign up for instruction and use of the climbing wall, coordinated with existing local climbing and hiking experts and instructors. Moving to the lower water park level, we see a 10-lane bowling alley. Now, this is a real bowling alley right before it was built in Colorado at a premier resort. A lot of the images you see, I've chosen resorts that I feel would fit. This is actually in Vail, Colorado. This is called Bowl, B-O-L, and the food there is phenomenal. It works. It's a great place for birthday parties for adults and children. This would also have food offering as well. I think this would be a hit. A perfect complement to the remainder of the activities that we'll be discussing. So let's go back outside a second. In this region right here is an exciting outdoor adventure park. Zip lines, 4-station. Very exciting venue. Adventure ropes course. And outdoor bouldering. There will be at least 2 zip stations and an adventure-themed ropes course, which I just described. These are great activities for families who do enjoy the outdoors, and even for companies that are looking for a corporate outing where they can enhance their team-building skills. By the way, these are man-made walls. These are bouldering. And we see the opportunity here for bringing in local climbing guides, climbing instructors, hiking guides, bringing them into us, and they working out of our facility, and working with the Adventure Concierge, which I'll be describing very shortly. We have plans for an ice skating rink right here in the garage of the building. This is a perfectly located area, because in the summertime, this could be an outdoor cafe, and in the wintertime, this will serve as well as a free-form ice rink. Okay? Very popular. This is one of the properties in Beaver Creek, which is adjacent to Vail, Colorado. These are high-end communities, and these are very popular attractions. Everybody gets on the ice. Staying outside, if we can go back to the property map a second, Kyle. As some of you may know, I started tennis late in life, and I just can't get enough tennis. I think especially since SUNY imploded the bubble, which I think was a mistake, built the field house, folks in New Paltz, as well as guests at the hotel, have not really had a destination for tennis. I envision on the site 8 outdoor courts. We have one more site of that too. 4 to 6 indoor courts. One of the outdoor courts I envision as, quote, a stadium court. I do feel that at this location, the possibility of hosting some major tournaments, we should be able to entice some top USTA, NCAA, and possibly even a Davis Cup tournament. New Paltz is really a great tennis community. There's some phenomenal players in the area, and I just think it's a perfect fit for this property. Moving back inside, the spa and fitness center. The hotel will have both spa services and a fitness center. The fitness center would house typical gym equipment such as treadmills, elliptical trainers, spin bikes, the usual, weight-resistant machines, free weights, and more. As well, there will be space available for Zumba, yoga, step aerobics, anything that the guests really want. There'll be just some free use from. The spa would serve as a perfect retreat, a perfect remedy for the harried parent looking for some well-deserved time. Whether it's a classic Swedish massage, hot stone therapy, or calming facial. The spa at Wildberry would be considered a signature full-service spa. It's getting darker. Getting old. Wildberry Lodge will provide its very own, all right, the concierge, this is important. Wildberry Lodge will provide its very own adventure concierge service to our guests. And this really offers a little bit of a twist in the hospitality industry. This isn't going to be your standard concierge. It really wouldn't. The adventure concierge will help hotel guests plan their stay before they embark each day to explore New Paltz and the greater Hudson Valley. Included in their duties, the concierge staff would offer continuous running shuttle service with routes through the village, downtown, historic Huguenot district, and up to the state park and preserve. Whether guests are looking for a climbing adventure, a quick trip into town for an afternoon of galleries, shopping, and dining, there'll be no need for the hotel guests to drive their own car into the village. I think one more opportunity. I do want to talk a little bit about the design team that we brought in. Regarding these consultants, we brought the team in from ADCI. I pride myself typically on using consultants, construction team as local as possible. But Jason Sorsey and Josh Johnson from ADCI, this is their ply in trade. They're from Madison, Wisconsin. They are specialists in water park hospitality and lodging design. They haven't completed over 30 successful properties throughout North America. We walked the 57-acre site together, visited the New Paltz community, and toured the immediate Hudson Valley area. Taking this all in, we feel we have arrived at an exciting design concept that is truly unique and reflects the character of the region. I would like now to bring up Jennifer Van Taal from Cuddy and Fair, who will be walking us further through the process required. Here is the front entrance design at Wildberry. This is a primarily a western view, Jason, right, Josh? That's a western view. And if we did go back to the site map, Kyle, this would be heavily buffered. That's the next one. This is more of a pulled back bird's eye rendering at about 45 feet in the air. And you can see this is the business section here, the conference center, the water park back here, and the lodging component here. Entire main lobby sits right in this vicinity here. If you can give us a plan view, Kyle, of the entire site, any chance of that? No. To show the amount of buffering between Paradise, okay, here, okay. So we plan on having heavy, between here and the building, and there'll be some berming up here. Definitely a lot of heavily planted and themed berms going right on through here. Some water features, the main entrance, which would include a rock sign with a waterfall with bronze letters in our logo. We just couldn't get it done in time. The Wildberry Lodge with water features and geysers. There'll be another water feature right in front here between the business entrance and the main entrance to the hotel. Two distinctly separate entrances to the conference and to the ballroom. So this way, people coming for a special event will not have to go through the lobby. If they want, they could, but we felt this was important as well. So let me bring Jennifer up here to continue on. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
At this point, we can have the lights back
I was just
on.
going to say.
Yeah.
And if the town board wishes to resume their regular seats, that's fine, you can stay where you are.
Yeah, we'll get them.
Yeah.
George, Dave, do you guys want to come down?
Yeah, we have some seats here.
Dave, Mike, guys want to come down? Okay.
They're enjoying the balcony seats. Well, you've heard from Steve the vision of Wildberry Lodge. And now we'd like to speak to you briefly about some of the numbers and analytics that the town would have to apply in evaluating this proposal. So there's going to be three of us. First up will be Rocco Timone, who's the CFO of Steve Turk Enterprises, who's going to speak to you about some of his number crunching relating to the economic benefits of the project. Right after that, Ross Winglowitz is going to come up. Now is not the time for a full-scale environmental analysis of the site, but as you know, we know a great deal about this site, and we can give you some important factors comparing the impacts of this development to other developments that have been proposed that we think compare very favorably. And then I'm going to finish up by speaking to the town board about the concrete steps that you and the planning board could take if you decide to move forward to consider this project. And I would just emphasize for everyone that's here, there will be numerous public hearings on this project. There's a long permitting process. We're really very much at the beginning. We've seen a vision, but we understand that this is going to be a community process of determining how it ends. So with that, I'll introduce Rocco Timone.
Good evening, board members and guests. I'd like to present some of the projected numbers we calculated on the Wildberry Lodge project and hopefully show you that this project will benefit the economies of New Paltz and Ulster County. First, I'd like to discuss construction jobs. In our calculations, there will be approximately 750 construction jobs to complete this project. Now, Mr. Turk, as you heard him say previously, insists on having local contractors and merchants as first priority on the jobs. And this project, obviously, we will follow that mantra. We have used local vendors, local contractors on expansion projects at Rocking Horse Ranch and at Splashdown Beach, and they have been completed on time and on budget, so we have no problem using local people for these projects. In addition, there's approximately $45 million of materials, furnitures, and fixtures that would be purchased for this project. We believe some of this $45 million will obviously flow down to local vendors. Permanent jobs. We believe Wildberry Lodge will create 250 permanent year-round jobs for the area. These jobs will be from housekeeping to management positions, salary ranges $9 an hour to $80,000 plus for upper management. At the same time, during our peak season, Memorial Day to Labor Day, we will be hiring high school and college students and will increase our staffing by approximately 50%. Pilot program. We've had some preliminary discussions with the Ulster County Development Corporation regarding the pilot program. Based on their calculations, we would qualify for a standard 10-year pilot program. What that would mean for us during that 10-year period, we would get a tax abatement of approximately $6.5 million, but pay taxes of approximately $17.2 million. To give that a little bit of perspective, our competitors in Pennsylvania, Kalahari and Camelback, they are receiving approximately $26 million in tax benefits over 20 years, and Camelback is receiving $13 million. At the same time, we have projected that in our first year of business, we will pay to New York and Ulster County approximately $1.5 million in sales tax and occupancy tax, which will be recirculated back into the community. 4% goes to the state, 4% goes to the county of the 8%, and I believe that at 4%, some will filter obviously back to New Paltz. These are some of the hard numbers that we have been able to project, but there are the other benefits that Steve discussed earlier, such as having our guests patronize the local businesses in the area. I believe that based on the facts I have presented, that you will see that there is a significant economic benefit to New Paltz and to Ulster, and that this project will be a win-win for all parties involved. Thank you.
Good evening, Ross Lelovitz with Engineering Properties. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm exhausted after Steve's description of all the activities that are going to go on at the
You guys did the light.
facility.
I had to see in the dark. I'm exhausted.
As you all know, this project site has a significant history. It's been around for many years, starting back in the 80s through the 90s and in the 2000s with several different projects that have been proposed on this site. Along with those projects, there was a significant amount of information that was developed regarding the environmental impacts of the projects. In all 14 areas on the most recent environmental impact statement that was done for the property. Knowing that there was a significant history, Steve asked me to take a look at what would happen in the past, why is this different, where are his roadblocks, and what are the potential impacts here. So we did take a look, and I looked through all 14 of them, but I only want to talk about a couple of them. One of the most significant ones that was discussed throughout the history of the property is the fiscal impacts, and specifically the fiscal impacts to the community of New Paltz. And I think this project is significantly different than all the other projects in that this provides clearly a significant benefit to the downtown, where the other projects had to argue about whether there was a benefit or not, whether they're going to divert business. I think Steve is clearly positive on that issue, as well as the fiscal impact of schools and recreation. Previously, there was potential impacts on the recreation. Steve's providing recreation, not providing any people to use public recreation, so he's providing the double benefit. Schools as well, paying school taxes, but he won't be putting any kids into the school district. Traffic was another significant issue. Will be again, I'm sure, but this proposal is 80% less than the previous proposal as far as peak traffic, just based on the preliminary numbers that we're looking at. So 80% less than what was previously proposed. So very significant reduction in potential traffic impact. Water and sewer, again, that's another significant issue that we're going to have to discuss in detail in the environmental impact statement. But we're projecting that preliminarily 30% less than the previous user as far as water use and production of wastewater. Again, you know that there's wells on that site. They've been tested several times. This provides potential benefit of having water available to the community beyond what Steve's needs are. Finally, I think one of the big differences is the time of construction and the site disturbance. There's going to be less site disturbance for this project than that was proposed. There's going to be half the parking spots that were previously proposed, and the duration of construction is going to be significantly less. This is going to be developed as one project, where previous projects they were going to continue over years. I think the Crossroads project was probably projecting 10 years from beginning to end of build-out. So that is, an impact that nobody can control, but I think we're going to have the best ability to minimize that in anybody that you've looked at in the past. So in summary, I think, what I said to Steve is that basically, I think there's many significant beneficial impacts to this project compared to the previous projects, and less significant negative impacts overall.
So where might we go from here? Your comprehensive plan from 1995 recognizes that recreation and tourism are important drivers for the town of New Paltz, and also that they promote the consideration of the town as part of a larger environmental region. So that's been an essential part of your comprehensive plan for a long time. And in fact, your zoning law has a number of uses that deal with tourism or recreation. You have hotel, you have vacation resort, you have indoor recreation, and you actually have a Wallkill River Valley recreation overlay, which is sort of a camping district. Now, the Steve Turk team had a paid conceptual workshop with the planning board in December to discuss how Wildberry Lodge might mesh with the existing uses that you had dealing with recreation. And we came away from that meeting realizing that Wildberry, because it's a combination of uses in a comprehensive package, simply transcends the existing zoning categories that you have. That's not to criticize them in any way, but this is something that's not just one thing. You can see from seeing the slides and hearing Steve talk, it's not just a hotel. We can't really say that the water park is an accessory use because it's an essential part of the whole thing. It all works together. And an integral part of the glue that holds the project together is this adventure concierge service to make sure that this is not a fortress type of resort, but really is part of the existing resources in your community. So we decided that rather than trying to squeeze our project or implore your zoning administrator to squeeze our project into your existing categories, that it really made more sense to just come and talk to you and ask you to treat this use as something important enough to have a definition all its own and to have regulations that really match the use itself. Steve has a vision, of course, but he really wants the town to shape that vision, because that's the only way that we can all be sure that Wildberry Lodge is going to become an integral part of the community. So how would we proceed at this point? There's a number of steps that I think the town board is generally familiar with because you've done zoning work before. You would have to develop a zoning definition of what the use is that you would want to permit. You would have to determine eligibility criteria, because obviously one wouldn't want something of this size just anywhere. Some eligibility limitations could be location, perhaps proximity to the thruway. Another relevant factor might be site size. That's important. Possibly a requirement of frontage on a state road. And there are a number of techniques that your law already uses that could be, I think, used to good effect here. One is the concept of an overlay district, where you define certain eligibility criteria and then apply the zoning at the discretion of the town board. In fact, I spoke to Mr. Moriello, and he pointed out to me that actually your Wallkill River Recreation District is an overlay district. Another technique is tying any approval that this board would give to an actual map, so that the zoning approval ties itself to a map which shows the location of the development, perhaps the architecture, the details, so you know when you pass the zoning what you're getting. It's not just that you're approving something and then the applicant goes off to speak to the planning board. Certainly, you would have to allocate permitting responsibilities between your board and the planning board, as you would with any other significant type of land use. And of course, both the zoning and any subsequent approvals by the planning board are all actions subject to seeker. And we stand here before you tonight acknowledging that there has to be a site-specific seeker analysis prior to any zoning action. We think that's the right way to approach it. And as Ross said, this is a property about which we know a great deal, but that doesn't mean we don't have to take a hard look at the impacts that would result. And of course, we're going to do that, and you have experience with the planning board of allocating the responsibilities of which agency would be the lead agency, and you can make that decision. And as I mentioned before, of course there are going to be public hearings. We've presented to you a vision, but obviously the vision is one that's going to be mutually arrived at with input from the boards, from the public, from interested agencies, etc. So we are at the beginning of a process where we really thank you for your allowing us to take so much time on an agenda to introduce everyone to the project. We're very, very excited about it. And I would ask you that if you are interested in moving forward with this review, that there are two actions that you could consider undertaking tonight. And the first would be to refer the matter to the planning board for an informal review. We would be more than happy to come to the planning board and make a full presentation to your board as well, and obtain any comments that the planning board would wish to share with you at this point. And I think the other thing that I would request is that the town board refer the matter to your attorneys, to your counsel, your town attorney, and to the planning board attorney to begin to work on developing the type of regulatory program that is in the town's interest about this use. Certainly, that's going to take a number of discussions. There's a number of reasonable options to be explored. And in making that request, I certainly acknowledge, Mr. Turk acknowledges that we are required under your law to post escrow to pay for the town's consultants reviewing the project, and we're ready, willing, and able to do that. So please accept our thanks for all the time that you've given and the interest that you've all shown about the project, and we look forward to continuing to review it with you.
Thank you. I think before I have the board start asking questions and stuff, Rocco, can you come back up for a second? When you talked about the pilot and the taxes and stuff, you sort of just did a real top-line number, and I just think it would be helpful to the community, I know it's not completely worked out and everything, but for the moment right now, you would be doing a 10-year pilot, 50%, so the first year your expectation is you'd be paying $1 million in taxes.
Correct.
Then it would be going up to like $1.2 million, then like $1.3 million, and by the end of 10 years you'd be paying $2 million in taxes.
Correct.
And I just wanted to make that very clear to people, because when Rocco talked, he just did a broad $17 million in taxes versus whatever, and I think that number, based on what we're going through right now with Wilmerite, and I just want to put this in perspective to everybody, Wilmerite, which is about an equal value project in terms of what it's going to cost to build, is asking to basically get 25 years of paying $385,000 to 3 taxing jurisdictions. 25 years, $385,000, that's what they want to pay. They want to define it, end of story.
With no increases.
With no increases whatsoever at all. And you're talking $1 million the first year, building up to $2 million by year 10. I just wanted to clarify that, because I think that's really important for the public to hear, and you sort of top-lined it. So I don't know if you want to
Sorry
add
about
anything.
that.
That's okay. I'm just trying to, because you know it's a sore subject. So.
Yes, but you are correct. I believe the first 3 years, the first 2 years at 50%, then it graduates. I know year 10
485
at the end.
Year 10, you're at 5%.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And like I say, the minimum would be that $1 million.
To start.
Correct.
So I just wanted to put that out there to everybody so they really understood, because when he did the top line, you might not have grabbed that this is a real tax-paying project. And, when Wilmer Wright came and spoke to the town board, and he sat there and said, "We will be your highest tax-paying project," I said, "Be careful what you're saying, because you might not be speaking the truth." So I just wanted to point that out.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's based on about a $70 million assessment?
75 million.
And you talked about 250
Kevin, take care.
250 permanent jobs
Yes, sir.
and an additional 125 seasonal,
Right, during our peak period of the summer, yes.
and that's versus what, 8
8 jobs.
for the other
So actually,
project?
and Rocco, hold me true, Rocco, but yeah, because that's something that's been quite a comment. So it's 250 jobs, and it's the first year would be $1 million. We would be, and then we get 5% a year. You would add, so $1 million by 250 is what, 4,000 a job, or 40,000? 4,000, right? 4,000. So it's going to cost us about 4,000 a job for this community, where another project is offering to let us pay them about $1 million, $1.6 million per job.
And you're only factoring in, I believe, the full-time
The
jobs.
full-time jobs.
That's
That
right,
would be
'cause
season jobs as well. Yeah.
So there's another 125 seasonal jobs approximately.
Correct.
That-
I
Okay,
do want to add one thing.
sure.
The week
Do
of
you want
President-
to, why don't you come up here and take a
Okay, the
microphone?
week of, the week
Sure.
of President's Week, we cut about 350 payroll checks. 200 of them are our core employees. But for that week alone, another 150 were, Monica, were high school and college part-timers. So I just want to make sure that, I don't know if Rocco addressed that correct, but we are employing currently a lot of high school, college part-timers throughout the season. And that week alone, we had a heavy week, and another 150 on top of our core. So that week alone, we had 350 employees. A Little Rocking Horse had 120 rooms. This at 250 rooms, if you do the math, it's a nice payroll generator.
So why don't you just stay up there, because I'm going to open it up to the board to ask questions. There's, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, and I was actually just curious, when we were talking about the jobs, you had mentioned high school students. Is that the expectation, or are you just talking about the age range? And the reason why I bring that up as someone who...
Because he's looking for a job.
Yeah. On a serious note, as someone who grew up here and went to high school here, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, there's a real challenge for a high school student to get a job in our community, which sounds very funny because we're a very youthful community, but that's because there's SUNY students who potentially could do the same work and maybe have more experience as well. So I was just wondering if, when you're looking for jobs like that, what does that factor in mind?
We love the high schools. Of course, I went to Highland. You started here with the New Paltz, but Highland, New Paltz, Wallkill, and Marlboro have been a godsend to us at Rocking Horse. On top of that, I gotta think, whether you're working in the kitchen, and by the way, they're all CIA Culinary Institute graduates, working in the dining room with Kathy, there's a learning curve, and there's a skill you take with you. We are known for our gardens, and I gotta, I'm gonna promote it right now. The gardens here are gonna be stunning, and if we can fit it on there, we see an indoor botanical garden that'll really, winter train shows. I seriously see that. These are all skills these kids take with them, and we don't pay hotel wages. We never have, we never will. We start out at either $9 an hour or whatever the market value is, and quite frankly, we worry about other properties, including Mohawk. We don't want them poaching us, and they don't want us poaching them. We have this mutual, respectful boundary, and it's good, it's healthy. This is great for the young kids ready for a job.
Okay, so Steve, what you need to say for Dan is we're going to hire high school kids first, and they're not going to be usurped by the SUNY students.
100%.
Thank you.
In fairness, Marlboro, Highland, New Paltz, and Wallkill have been very good to us.
Well, because eight of those SUNY students can work at Wilmer.
Do you want to say it again? I don't know if everybody heard it. Does anybody else on the... Go ahead, Jean.
Has this property been purchased already?
No, we have an option with Mr. Plesser.
Okay.
Where is Mr. Plesser?
Mr. Plesser is...
The famous Mr. Plesser.
Stand up, Sam, so the people who don't know you can see you.
We're very happy about it. Oh, wait a minute back.
So I have a comment. Mr. Turk, I'm really impressed with your presentation tonight. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for the community to embrace this project. I'm sure there'll be a lot of hurdles. There always are hurdles in New Paltz. But I really feel that this is the right kind of project for this community. It will have a tremendous impact on our schools, like the other residential development that was proposed for there. So I welcome you to the community, and I personally will do what I can to assist you to make this dream a reality. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think so also, Mr. Turk is, I know we're looking at just overviews here, and I just want to say thank you that obviously you spent time in the community, and thank you for coming in from Minnesota to Wisconsin. Did I say Minnesota? Wait, Wisconsin, the Badgers, right? There you go. So look at, did I save myself a little bit there? See, I knew the there you go. That just even looking at the facade, you're using a veneer of stone that looks that fits in with our community. It also looks, I don't know how many stories you were planning. 4 stories.
For the hotel.
Yeah, for the hotel. So it's of reasonable scope for that area. I really appreciate that you've obviously spent a lot of time even before having any.
There'll be other elements addressed.
Yeah, but just looking at early conceptuals here, so it looks like you really worked very hard at looking at our community, and I appreciate that. And just at first glance, too, as we all know, traffic is a major concern in this community for 2 different ways. One, myself also being a small business owner here, there's never enough traffic. We encourage, yourself included, you always want a lot of traffic, but also that your guests will not have to worry about traffic because they will be coming in. It looks like you're making arrangements to bring in woodland ponds, which is another large project here with a different age component. That they use buses also to bring their people into our community, and that is really great for them too. So their cars aren't coming in and clogging up our streets as much or looking to park. So I really like that component. So I also look forward to seeing this going forward and what we can do to help.
Steve, you might want to also wetlands. You're staying away from the wetlands, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's important to say up front at the very beginning, that you're very aware of the importance of the wetlands out there. Absolutely. And your willingness to.
Oh, you know what? So if I looked at the thing properly, you want to you want a separate road from Paradise Lane. You won't be using Paradise Lane as your entrance. I think that's important to get out there too, is that you will have an entrance off Route 299.
Correct.
Before you even hit South Ohio.
It'll be in the edge of the entrance of Paradise, but they'll be separate. Ross, am I correct?
Right. So the traffic won't be flowing down their residential road.
Correct, and it would have to be worked out with the planning board, but the idea would be to have one entrance that would combine Paradise and our site into an entrance off there, because they would be too close to have a site entrance in Paradise Lane, because there would be conflicts. So we're looking at one entrance that would come into the site, would potentially show a traffic circle, and then Paradise would come off of that circle, so they would have no through traffic. They would have their own road into Paradise Lane with no through traffic through Paradise.
But if the cars come in to one centralized road, if they don't go into the traffic circle and they go into Paradise, they will have through traffic.
I think he's talking about
There'll
an
be no
internal
exit out of
traffic.
Paradise into the site, so you would only go to Paradise if you were doing business on Paradise or you lived on Paradise. So
I'm not following you.
can you go back to the site plan?
Yeah.
But also, you might want to, Kevin, you want to throw your microphone over to them? Just lift it out.
want the,
Okay.
Ross.
See that little circle?
The DOT would never allow us to have Paradise Lane and a new entrance directly next to it.
Isn't that Paradise?
No, this is throughway,
Oh,
exit ramp, 299. So Paradise is right in here.
okay.
We would have to basically put one entrance in only, which would include Paradise Lane. So if you were going to Paradise, you would come into the site, go just barely into the traffic circle, and then right into Parady's here. So it would not, Parady's is not going to be connected
I
into the
see.
project at the
So
end.
it's right here.
Correct.
You go this way to Paradise and this way to you.
To the site, correct. Yeah. Yep. We would have
Okay.
another access, another 2 access points on South Ohioville Road. And again, 20% of the traffic of the previous applicant. That's what we're projecting.
You can also see how the shape of the building was affected by the wetlands, which actually we benefited from because it created more of a interesting shape that broke up the masses.
You want to just highlight where the wetlands are?
Yeah, I mean, the 2
Yeah.
primary wetland areas on the site are right in here and at the rear of the site here.
What's the road to the
So-
south?
Service to the wells?
Oh, yeah, that is a service road to the wells. There's 4 or 5 very good producing wells located in the southwest corner of the site. So that's what that access road is.
Okay.
No, it doesn't leave the site. It ends that would end at the well site and well house.
Do any other?
Thank you.
Board?
Just one last comment here. I think that in New Paltz, we're often very reactive to projects that we don't like, specifically that have been associated with the location I'm talking about. and rarely are we proactive, or at least in my view, proactive in things that we do want. And I think that although this is very early in the process, that this gives us that opportunity as well to be proactive to something that's more in line with our community as well. And I just wanted to say to you, Steve, too, that when this project had come around, and a number of people have been talking about it online or mentioned it to me, and I will say, not only were people excited about it, but they specifically mentioned you in particular being a community person, and just some of the amazing positive things you've done for other areas, and I would say our community too, because we are a regional-based area as well. So I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for coming to speak with us today.
I appreciate that.
It really was, and I think in some ways, you know, we're always fighting what we don't want, and we've been fighting malls on this piece of property for a very long time. And here's finally an opportunity for something that's not a mall and that actually brings people into our community and can enhance our community. And so, just so everybody understands, this is the very, very, very beginning, totally the beginning. And what happened was they came up with this idea. They approached myself actually right after I was elected. So this is how, you know, and 3 years ago you approached me actually before I even had gotten inaugurated, and all I kept saying was, please don't ask for an IDA. That's all I said. Right? So all I kept saying is, don't ask for it, but whatever. But then when they showed me they're going to be paying $1 million with an IDA, I was like, oh my God. Okay, well let's talk another story. But anyway, regardless. There was another community down in Orange County that's been really trying to get them to come there. So they have other options at other places that want them. And we're really lucky in a way that knowing how difficult New Paltz can be, where Orange County would open their arms and embrace them and probably push them through in a heartbeat, that they had the courage to actually...
And then they'll put you next to the casino.
to actually say, no, we're going to actually, we think New Paltz...
Gamble, and you go to the water park, you go gamble, and you go to the water.
So they actually could have gone someplace else, but they really said, no, we think that this is a site, we think this is a community, and we're going to try it, and we're going to go for this. And so I think we as a community are actually very lucky, because really most people would run the other way, especially with a project of this size on this particular piece of property. And so they came and they spoke and did a conceptual with the planning board and the building inspector, and sort of looked to see would this project work on the site or not. And basically with the engineer, with the attorney, with the building inspector, and I went to that meeting, it sort of looked like, yes, indeed, this site could hold this project. And so because, in a sense, there's zoning changes that might have to happen, what we said was, let them, we said to Steve, come to the town board first, start this project from the very beginning, come to the town board, do a public presentation so the public from day one knows what's being presented at the same time the rest of us know. And let's go through this process together as a community. And if the community hated it, let's hear it now, but if the community embraces it, let's just see what we have to try to do to make this work while we respect all of the laws on the books. And so, in a sense, I got a sense from most of the board, because again, if the board was against it, I wasn't going to put Steve through the grief of spending all the money and coming to us so we could rebuke him. But basically, pretty much unanimously, this board was like, this is a good project for the community. They're going to be paying a substantial amount of taxes. Let's see what we could do, and that's why they're here tonight. So this is the beginning, and there's going to be a lot of work to do, but, thank you for coming, and thank you for putting the due diligence in to try to meet the needs of the community. I don't know, Michael, do you want to add anything or ask anything? George? Does the board want to, let me ask the board, do you want to open it up to anybody in the public? Or,
Sure.
Okay, Tim? Tim, I just would like if somebody could take, I just use a microphone because of the, if that comes off and you can hand it to him.
Hey Steve, I thought it was a great presentation, exciting stuff. I think the things you've identified in our community that you're going to try to intertwine with this project sounds really unique and exciting. But a question I have has to do with one thing that you didn't seem to mention, and maybe it's your engineers already looking at this, but anything related to ground source heat pumps, gray water, solar panels, what kind of renewable energy features a project like this might include, because that would probably resonate with our community.
100% we agree.
Get back the topic.
No, we couldn't agree more. Try to be as, quote, as close to LEED certified as different areas as we can. We really haven't gotten out of the gate. We were talking with the town engineer about the difference between, where is this? What are our sewage options? What is the best benefit? Reclamation of water. At Splashdown, all of our filtration, 50% of our filtration, Andrew, is diatomaceous earth, not your typical backyard. These are large caverns. One of them is about half the size of this room. And what I'm getting at is we reclaim about 95% of the water. We backwash the wave pool because we just spray the panels down, we recoat them, and we let the wastewater separate, and we reclaim that water. We have a lot of great ideas regarding the management of the water park itself. Believe it or not, they are so efficient with the filtration and the management of the aquatic side. Solar energy, we haven't even poked at that. Sewage, but absolutely, it's exciting. It's all going to fit and comport itself well as we travel along. I'm just happy to get even fairly positive feedback. I'm sure here, Ross.
I want to add one thing. In the EIS, or in our environmental review, what we've been asked to do in the past is to do a section on sustainability. So one of the things when we get into the detailed design, we'll look at sustainable options for the site, discuss them in there, and whether we can use them or can't use them and why. That's something we've been asked to do in the past, and we'll probably be doing that again here as well, I'm sure.
I don't know, Fran, did you have a question? Just if you can grab the microphone? Well, only because of the TV and stuff, so. But you can take Kevin's.
It's a quick question. Hi. So, great presentation. I just have a question in general and understanding there's so many process steps along the way, but can you give us some idea of a time frame, whatever you can give us?
Well, gazing into my crystal ball, there's really no way to judge the total time frame here, but I think we can say that Steve and his design team are committed to moving forward in an expeditious way. We all know that it's really exciting. Your board meets twice a month, planning board meets regularly, so that's really a great service to applicants, because when boards only meet once a month, obviously you're only doing business 12 days a year, so things can't move quickly. But obviously we have work to do, as you point out. The whole renewable energy thing needs to be analyzed. A lot of site-specific engineering, more detailed architecture work needs to be done. But Steve is committed to this. We're on it. We will promise you our best effort to move forward. And I wouldn't want to try to guess a time frame because we're just really at the beginning, and I don't want to be presumptuous in any way, but we are dedicated to it. We promise you that we will turn around and respond to any questions that you or the public ask, because you want to move forward with this project.
Next week, but
I just want to point out that this lawyer treats this board very differently than the last lawyer that came in front of us. Go ahead.
Well, I was just so part of this new picture, and Joe, you might be able to answer, could this be a coordinated review with ZBA and planning?
Town board and planning.
Give Joe the,
What
but we have to talk about our next steps.
Yeah, but that would be, ZBA would be part of this also, though, potentially, or possibly not?
No.
ZBA probably would not be involved unless there were variances that had to be given.
Might be creating a noise,
So I think you're talking about maybe town board in terms of any zoning changes.
And I guess that was my real question was, can we do it as a coordinated review?
And the planning board.
Okay.
So the town board and the planning board can actually act as a coordinated review. So to your reference of the map, that could be part of our review and that what we base the law on.
The planning board chair and the planning board attorney and the town engineer are up there nodding their heads.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'd like to do actually is, I think there were a few more people in the audience who want to ask questions, and then what I'd like to do is talk about our next steps, because there are a few options of how we proceed, whether we just sort of push it over to the planning board for the moment, whether we do some coordinated stuff. So let's get some questions, then we'll talk about our next steps and what our options are and make a decision. But Josh, you have to come get a microphone. Kev, can you just take yours out?
Here you go.
It's not really a question. I just want to say, as someone who has probably opposed every project that's been on that property, and Sam will tell you and begged for years, please let me get something done. This is the most exciting project that I've seen come forward. You guys seem to be right on top of it. And I don't think if you do it right the way you're saying, I think it'll be a very different animal than what we're dealing with at the college with Boomerang.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Ira, do you want to grab a microphone?
Either one or one right next to you, Ira.
Why don't you just hand it to him so Ira doesn't have to get up?
Thank you. First of all, I just agree with Josh. Sitting here, listening to the presentation, it was really good, and I thought it was a benefit till they got to the point of economic benefit, which goes to the village, not to the town. But then they're willing to pay their fair share of taxes. That's the benefit to the town. The fact that this presentation, these people actually were concerned about the residents of New Paltz, unlike the college and the state. I think this is fantastic, and I think the fact that Susan's been working on this for 3 years and it's finally come to some type of fruition is also fantastic. I really, would like to see, it doesn't affect me, but when you have decent people coming and people who are actually concerned about your community as opposed to certain individuals, I think this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So is there anybody else in the public who wants to ask questions or say anything? Otherwise, I'd like to have a conversation with the board, with our attorney, and possibly George Lithgow about how we do proceed next steps. So is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you give Joe a microphone and talk about how we as a board may want to consider proceeding.
Really, that's up to the board. I think
Well, tell us our options.
The first issue, and George and I have had some discussion about that. I did speak with Jennifer yesterday. The first issue is our current zoning and current master plan, and looking at that, and I think that Jennifer is quite right. While we have definitions that have been developed in the past for hotel, motel, vacation resort, it doesn't seem as though this particular project, the way it's envisioned, really fits within any one of those definitional terms. And A. B, I think the applicant is also right to say we're not looking to try and have the town, or maybe on a question going to the Zoning Board of Appeals, shoehorn this kind of a project into existing definitions. it certainly is something that is different, it is unique, it is a destination resort. And maybe that's where the board needs to start and say, what do we have on our existing zoning law? If it needs some zoning amendments, do you want, for instance, George Lithgow, on behalf of the planning board, myself, and Jennifer, to get together and offer the board suggestions about maybe what the zone changes might need to be, and we can also make some suggestions to you perhaps as to how they might read, rather than have the board try and pour through it and see where it is. I think, I speak for George or Jennifer, I think we can cooperate to do that, because obviously it's got to jive with what's going to become the plan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we can do that.
So now let me just ask a question in terms of the applicability of like how we start the process, because Jennifer was gracious enough to say that they would put up an escrow account. And you know, if we start immediately to say, let's get the lawyers together to start looking at how we do the zoning, how do we sort of like get this application legally before us, put up an escrow account, and start doing the work?
And I'll defer perhaps to George and Mike. They had a lot more experience with the escrows for the plan that goes before the planning board, and at what stage that kicks in and how it's administered. The town board has not done that with the regularity that the planning board has done. But again, speaking with Jennifer on that, I think that the applicant is prepared essentially to treat this as a petition to the board for a rezoning when we know where we're going. There are going to be expenses that the town board will incur for the attorney and very possibly the engineer, and we'll establish an escrow for the town board as well as the separate escrow for the planning board. Mike, does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just confirming, absolutely, and we can confirm by a letter that I can write tomorrow that we have requested this and consider ourselves responsible for establishing the escrow account, and then your consultants could advise you of what a reasonable amount is.
Okay, so...
Well, actually, and Joe, if I could just ask you, in our, and we have Kurt, I saw Kurt here.
He's here.
Hi, Kurt. Hi. Kurt has read both master plans. We did identify this as an area for industrial growth in our existing master plan.
Right. I think is a portion in the B2 and a portion is in the light industrial, right?
So we wouldn't be doing spot zoning then if we chose to change the zoning for that area? Because it would match our, and Kurt, if you have an opinion on that too, I mean, I'd like to.
Potential risk of spot zoning. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't a mechanism to accomplish the zoning that the town board would like. So it might be a floating zone or something.
And Joe, does that make sense too? Like these?
Yes.
Okay, no, that's yeah.
I had a very brief conversation this afternoon with Dennis Doyle on this.
Oh, good.
Right.
And again, he has not seen the project and he doesn't know all of the intricate details, but you know, Dennis is very knowledgeable, and I think that Kurt is exactly right. While some might claim at first, oh, isn't this spot zoning? I don't think it is if done right, and I think there are several existing zoning vehicles that can be used to accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
And what I will say too is when we started with this and then we might have to go through zoning changes, that was my first question. I talked with George thoroughly, I talked with Mike thoroughly, I talked with Joe today, thoroughly because we want to do it right. But in the B2 district, which this is in, hotels are allowed.
Yes.
So hotels are allowed in the district. The problem is the zoning for hotels and motels is so antiquated. So a hotel definition in our zoning is basically a place that people stay with a corridor. Okay? A motel is you go outside, you open your door, and you're in the parking lot. And that's a hotel definition in the town of New Paltz, and that's a motel. Okay? Those definitions probably went out in 1945 or 1950. I don't know how long ago, but so B2 hotels are allowed. It's now how do we make a hotel zoning to today's times? So it's so yes.
Good.
It's not spot zoning, that's why we feel comfortable moving forward. And again, we're doing it either as something for the whole district or an overlay district, so we're okay.
So why don't we
Talking
just,
to your microphone.
so I move to refer to the town board attorney and the planning board attorney to begin the process of developing a regulatory framework that would accommodate this use. So I'm moving that basically we authorize our attorneys to begin the work on it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So what we will do is, Jennifer, you'll get a letter to Joe tomorrow, starting the process. We'll work together with all the attorneys and the engineer to sort of figure out a sort of escrow start, and then we'll start to get the process going. Okay? Anything? Okay, so I don't know if...
And actually, I don't know we've ever
Sure.
had 50-plus people here and not a single one yell at us, So Steve, could you come to every meeting, actually? I think this is what's needed. Apparently it's you.
My pleasure, Jeff.
You're welcome.
And could I also ask the board if they would consider referring us to the planning board so we can make a presentation?
Absolutely, please. So we did invite the planning board, just so you do know. And can everybody who's a planning board, please raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got 5 members of the planning board that are here, okay? Is there anybody from the ENCB who's here?
I'm here.
Okay, so we've got one person from...
John Littlefoot was here too.
Okay, so we have 2 people, so we have 5 planning board members, and we have 2 ENCB members. So we did invite them to come so they could be here. But would somebody like to make a motion
So
to...
I'd like to move to refer to the planning board the project for an informal review.
Second. Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. George, Michael, is there anything else you want us to do? Nope.
No, I mean, 2 things will go on, and they can do...
Can you come take a microphone? I'm sorry, but you have to. Take it out. Here.
There you go, sir.
There are two things that can go on simultaneously. One is we can work on the zoning language with the town attorney, planning board attorney, and the applicant's attorney. The other part is that we could start, if the applicant made a review, we could start some preliminary discussions on it. One of the things we normally do is go up to see Dennis Doyle at the county and get their input on it, so the presentation would go up there. But it gets the ball rolling on us declaring ourselves lead agency, moving along with the project. We can't come to a conclusion until the zoning law gets approved to see what we're approving and make sure it's within the confines of the zoning. But certainly with all this work involved here, it's going to be more than 1 or 2 meetings to do this. Speculation on my part at this time.
Do you think it won't be open by July 1st?
But you could make the application to the planning board, and we could start a review process on it while the town board is working on a zoning amendment. Obviously, we'll get to review the zoning amendment also and get input there. But I think things can go on simultaneously.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so...
I just wanted to say one more thing. Steve had poked me while we were speaking before. He wants to be totally candid with you. We talked about the 4-story height for the hotel, and that is the 4-story, but there are certain elements, the rock climbing wall in the lobby and the towers of the water slides, that because water slides are associated with gravity, you saw in that elevation that there are some peaks. We can't tell you exactly how high they are because under your zoning, it's measured from average grade, and we aren't anywhere near that, and the site has some sloping grade anyway. But we just wanted to let you know, we don't want to mislead you in any way. The hotel is definitely 4 stories, but there are going to be some interesting peaked elements that go above that, and we'll keep you posted.
Okay. So is there anything else anybody else needs to ask? Questions, loose ends?
Nope.
Okay, so if you all want to stay and hear us talk about Startup New York, you're more than welcome to stay. But since you probably all don't, what we'll do is take a 5-minute break because I think a lot of you are going to leave. And so we'll just take a 5-minute break so people can go out and then we can have our discussion going forward.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Josh. Oh, no. I saw a shirt recently with both shirts, and they both had arms around each other. So we're very close.
I know you are. You must be doing.
I did.
It looks nice.
I cut it really short.
It looks nice, I like it. Just bring it to Newport.
Kevin, you ready?
Get into Newport, baby. Okay. So, whoever is, okay, guys, we're,
If there's any conversations, if you guys want to take it in the back or out front, we're just going to start our meeting.
right, okay, so let's look, okay,
You're welcome,
so,
Gene.
everybody, to the members that are still here. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the New York, guys, we're gonna herd everybody. We've got to get back to our meeting, so we need for you to either go in there or go outside or go in the back. Okay, Startup New York. Did everybody get a chance to read the Startup New York plan?
Susan, before we get there,
Sure.
just read 3 announcements.
Oh,
that I
yeah,
just
please,
got.
sure.
There's going to be a household hazardous waste and pharmaceutical waste collection event Saturday, April 19, 2014. It's going to be at 999 Flatbush Road, Kingston, at the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. And then we have the annual spring cleanup for New Paltz, which will begin Saturday, April 19th through Saturday, May 3rd. Materials will be accepted 9 a.m. through 4:45 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. And then finally, we have a New Paltz Zero Waste Initiative. It's Composting 101. It's going to be offered April 19th, 2014, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. That's at the New Paltz Reuse and Recycling Center. All right? Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. Okay, Rosanna, can somebody give her a microphone?
I just want to remind everyone that Town Hall will be closed next Friday in order for town personnel to have records management training, so Town Hall will be closed to the public next Friday.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got on February 28th, 2014, the Startup New York SUNY New Paltz campus plan, and they're asking to solicit formal comment and feedback on the attached draft of the SUNY New Paltz Startup New York campus plan, which is posted online on our town website. They want our input. I think they're obligated to ask for our input if you look at sort of the backup stuff. Just so everybody does know, Startup New York, quote, this is not me saying it, I'm just going to read you what's written and what I got. Startup New York is an innovative-based economic development program developed by Governor Cuomo to expand existing business and industry and attract new business to the state of New York through partnerships with the college and university campuses, particularly in SUNY. Those partnerships built on the academic strengths and the priorities of each campus. Each campus participation in Startup New York is guided by a campus plan that includes the following elements: identifying land or space to be included in the program, describing the type of businesses that may partner with the SUNY campus, explaining how prospective businesses and partners will align with the campus academic mission, illustrating how a partnership may have a positive community and economic impact, and outlining the process by which a campus will select participating businesses. As a key and critical constituent of SUNY New Paltz community, I hope you will take advantage of this opportunity to provide your input on our campus plan before we submit it for the final review. And we're supposed to give them our input by April 2nd at 5 o'clock. So.
That just sounds lovely.
Would you like me to read the statement I prepared, or? I'd like to hear Kevin's too.
I read what was provided to us, and I think I would like to have a subcommittee of the board, or 1 or 2 members of the board, and I would volunteer to be in one of those, to meet with college representatives that prepared this plan, and kind of dig down a little bit more detail about really what their plan is. And I'm not going to be critical of the plan at this point. I need to understand it in a little more detail. And the reason why that's significant is because this is a very large initiative. And really, it talks about a partnership, I guess, between the state of New York and the SUNY schools that desire to have a certain academic initiative. in this particular case, our SUNY school would be 3D printing. But in order to have that partnership, in order to have the vision, I think it requires members of the community, the town board, the planning board. It's a little bit more comprehensive than just putting together kind of a proposal like this, because when I read it, I was a little surprised that properties that were identified were like ShopRite, Burger King, and Ulster
Savings Bank.
I mean, I just couldn't believe the properties that I was looking that were identified. So I need to understand why True Valley Hardware is on here, and why there are certain the Karate Center. I just don't understand why those buildings were designated and how they fit into a bigger plan of trying to promote 3D printing here in this area. I just didn't understand. So I would like to volunteer myself, sit down, and have somebody explain this to me.
And can I ask a question, and maybe I missed this in reading the document, was that in the proposal for a number of these tax-free districts that they have, they're not all in New Paltz, they're in other municipalities, and I'm curious if when they're not asking us because they want us to just see what we want to do for fun. They're doing it because it's a part of the proposal. So my question is, are they talking to the Plattekill Town Board, the Gardner Town Board, or is it because they're located within the town of New Paltz that they're then asking us as well?
I think if you read this, I don't think they're talking to them yet, because if when you read at the very beginning, they actually say, and I'll find it because I saw it. Just give me
1 mile or 10 miles out.
No. But there's to answer Dan's specific question, they actually do pretty much say that at a later date they will be reaching out to those boards and supervisors. So from what I read, it doesn't sound like they have reached out to them as of yet.
And then another question along those lines too is that I'm very interested that we're doing this now, and maybe it's just simply because I missed the articles about it, but for those who don't know, SUNY Ulster had this proposal as well, and they've already received this program, is my understanding. Now, and it's going to be a part of Tech City, I believe. So my question is, do they then have a similar discussion with the Town of Ulster Board? And then I would also be interested to see what the concerns of the Town of Ulster was in regards to this proposal as well.
Well, I can say, I do know one at a town gal meeting, and I think Ira was there, when they spoke about this plan, and that was the first time I heard the college president say that they could possibly do a designation, and he had said that they would designate, that they were talking about designating Tech City.
Yes.
And I know I had said to him that, you know how we feel about tax-free projects in New Paltz right now. I said, however, at the end of the day, simultaneously, to take what could potentially be bringing in really good jobs and put it up in Kingston is sort of not the answer either. So it's like, in other words, you know, if we're going to force you to pay taxes, we're not going to get the good jobs. So I found it interesting that all of a sudden it was SUNY Ulster that all of a sudden aligned themselves with Tech City. So it seems like what they're doing is they're letting them actually take the mile designation, but then designate it into different areas. So on page 19, actually it says, notification to campus stakeholders. The SUNY New Paltz Startup New York Campus Plan integrated feedback from the RF and others into a revised plan. The revised plan has been shared with the following entities to seek their input: SUNY New Paltz, chapters of UUP, CSEA, PEF, PBA, NYSCOBA, and GSEU. SUNY New Paltz faculty, in collaboration with the presiding officer of the Faculty Leadership of Student Association and the Resident Hall Student Association, Village of New Paltz Mayor and Trustees, Town of New Paltz Supervisor and Board, New York State Assemblyman, New York State Senator, Ulster County Executive, Susanna Holt, Director of Office of Business Services, and as properties in other municipalities come under further consideration for inclusion in the program, relevant mayors, supervisors, and governing boards in those communities, including the Town of Lloyd Supervisor and Town Board, Town of Gardner Supervisor and Town Board, and Town of Plattekill Supervisor and Town Board. So it seems to me, based on the way that's written, I haven't reached out to them.
It seems like if they go down that route, they will.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Everybody read this, right? What was the determining factor in choosing what they chose? Was it because they were either for lease or for sale, or was it something else?
I don't think you can get the sense from reading this.
I mean, Did anybody get a sense for that?
Well, one of the, if you go on and maybe, Dan, you read this too, in some of the articles online, one of the drivers of this was Rochester. And as you would think. It's not in there, Kevin, but as Xerox Kodak moved out of the community, they have all of this empty space up there. So in a way of looking to fill it, they thought they would then be able to entice the state to help them fill it. And then they devised a completely new level of hubris by now, not only giving away the tax dollars of the corporation's profits, but now taking away and making the employees tax-free.
Right.
So the employees get to pay no taxes, well, no income tax for the first 5 years.
Okay.
And then for those making less than $200,000 a year, those people also get another 5 years, so for 10 years.
But my point is,
why are
I
they
can
doing it?
understand that you would identify vacant structures and repurpose structures, but why would you identify large tax-paying parcels that are occupied by existing businesses as potential properties to include in this program?
Does everyone want a piece of it? I mean,
I don't understand.
Does everyone want a piece of everyone wants a piece of it, right? Every university then wants
A piece of what?
of the tax-free zone. They want a piece of being able to invite a company tax-free to then come and sit on their doorstep.
And then replace the structures that are there and take the property and convert it to another use?
But these are existing businesses.
I know.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So maybe they want to buy the parcels at a highly escalated rate, and then they're not going to pay taxes on it, and they're going to expend their 3D printing.
Well, let me just in fairness, okay?
And increase their manufacturing program at the
Wouldn't you
college.
put manufacturing on a street other than Main Street?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're thinking. Yeah?
I guess so. So that's why I think I need to
You need
find,
to
I
dig.
need to dig.
So let me, I think a couple of things, okay, and we have limited time. Limited time to respond, not limited time tonight, so let me be clear. And let me just also, I had, it was actually, I think it was either Christmas Day or New Year's Eve Day, when I was down in Florida, and I saw in my email a thing from the college telling me that they were going to be sending a startup plan, and they were going to want to show it to us and everything. So I had Carol, I called her right away and said to Carol, call this person who's handling this, and tell them I want to meet with them right away, because I didn't want to have them develop it without us having input. What I was told was, no, they're going to do the first draft of the plan, they're going to send it up to the state, the state's going to review it, they're going to send it down with their recommendations, then they're going to make their changes, then they're going to send it to us, and then we can give input, and then it goes back. So actually, they've been working on this for a while, and we have a very limited time for us to respond. But in fairness to the plan, let's just talk a couple. There is one thing I'd like to read, and I think I would like to compliment the college for recognizing this. The question, though, is how to ensure the integrity of the statement makes it into the plan and that it can't be taken out of the plan if a tax-free business chooses to want to live by this. They wrote additional square footage is contained within 8 properties deemed eligible for potential lease or purchase within the 1 mile radius of SUNY New Paltz campus. SUNY New Paltz recognizes the concern in the New Paltz community about the amount of land that is not taxable, example the campus, or tax exempt. The college does not advocate waiving the property tax line for any of the community sites in this plan, or future ones that may be considered under Startup New York. However, we recognize that those properties could be leased or rented by companies that would participate in startup, and that those companies would realize substantial incomes, business, and sales tax advantages from the program, even if the cost of property taxes is reflected in their leases or rental agreement with the commercial property owner. And then he proceeds to go, these properties run the gamut of Class A office space to downtown commercial, to industrial. So they are recognizing the fact that, in their Startup New York plan, they're saying that they're not asking for the property taxes to be taken away from the community. Now, Again, one of the things we have to find out is how to concretize that in a plan so the state can't usurp this in the SUNY plan. And I think as a board, obviously, we're going to support this concept very, very strongly, that we don't want any Startup New York stuff to take the property off the rolls.
Yeah, and what I was wondering too is, and it's not necessarily addressed in the proposal, but the college just purchased a parcel of land on 32, and I was wondering if that factors into this proposal.
3.62?
It's one of the pieces.
It's one of the pieces. It's one of the pieces they identified.
So then my point to that is,
Which is already off the tax rolls.
That's my point. Yeah, so it's already off tax rolls as well, which I think is.
Well, I also want to say something positive too. I think it's a great idea that they construct a new building to house the college's new mechanical engineering department. I think that's fantastic. We need more engineers in this country. I think that's great. But I would have thought that the plan would have been a little bit more comprehensive. So that's what, maybe this is just the beginning and I don't understand it. So that's what I want to find out.
I mean, again, also talking about the plan, if you read through the plan, I mean, what I'm impressed with in a sense is that, if we take away the fact that it's tax-free and all this other stuff, but, what they're trying to do is take this initiative and build on what the college has and what the college offers. So, the college has this new 3D printing, and we actually do have the only 3D printing innovative lab in the entire country located on our campus. And what they're trying to do through this plan is build on the 3D initiative and have more and more emerging businesses coming that want to do 3D and grow us as a hub for 3D printing, which is really exciting, and we could become a real leader in it. They also talk a lot about building on mechanical engineering program, which I also like too, because we do need more engineers, and we do have a strong engineering department. They also said that they wanted to find other synergies with companies in similar high-tech fields that are interested in exploring relationships under Startup New York. These include companies that align well with the college's graphic design and digital media programming and production departments, as well as companies that would match well with the college's life science programs that include biology, chemistry, and biochemistry. And then later on, they also go into talking about some things that tie into the campus's fine arts program. So they are using the Startup New York to attract businesses that complement the kind of programming that the college is strong with. They're also making internships and that type of stuff a real priority. So there's some really good features in here. And so, the way they sort of targeted it, I think is really, really well done. So I think, like, for us, again, it's a question of when you look to see the properties that they ID, it's like, like I called Kevin and I said, Kevin, here's the addresses, can you check them out? And Kevin called me back and basically, said, it was a karate building, the new building, Rick Alfondri's building, ShopRite, Rite Aid Plaza, Burger King, True Value. It's sort of like a little...
The shoe place right down here.
Pegasus. So it is a little perplexing how they pick those and stuff. So what I can do is, again, we have to get back pretty quickly. We can talk about this next week. In the interim, I can certainly call the person who's handling this in the college, make an appointment for a couple of board members.
Yep.
And
because there's two. One is, and I really did. I started to write a letter, I don't know, like last week. So this might work if the all too predictable cycle of business does not go the same way it always has in the past. So now that these businesses are locating there and not paying taxes, but are using public infrastructure, when the infrastructure needs to be renovated or expanded, where will the money come from? Businesses will always try to pay the lowest taxes and lower or shift expenses. So we can assume when roads and bridges are failing, public schools are in disrepair, public school growth occurs with new employees, emergency services become more stressed with new structured employees, who will foot the bill? Not the incentivized corporations, the taxpayers. They will just be doing it with a smaller tax base, thanks to the tax-free area for startup zones. The politicians who put this plan through will not be around when the bill comes due. So we're in a win-win for corporations, lose-lose for the taxpayers. We should be putting money into the enterprises that actually do spur economic development. Things like public education, health care, parks, and a whole range of other facilities. The plan was not fair since state residents will be taxed at different rates, even on their income of the new employees. So, it's a little bit of a rough draft there, but still, it just, again, we're in another case where we're being put up against it. And if you go through and read it, and I forgot where it says, I was just trying to find it, there is a office, which I thought I found it, but I found kind of shocking too, is the identification of the firms is being done out of the president's office. He has someone for it now, the office of the president.
Oh, they hired somebody
They have
to
created
actually...
a new position for a lead professional staff member charged with the task of engaging with potential companies that may have an interest in and be suitable for participating in Startup New York. And that works about how they work with the chancellor's office. Once appropriate firms are identified, they will be vetted by a committee comprising of SUNY New Paltz president, Don Christensen, the SUNY Provost's office, the Office of Sponsored Programs, the President's Startup New York coordinator, and relevant deans and faculty. Who would be missing from that list?
The town.
I'll be darned. How about that? How about, wouldn't this, I mean, how can you write a plan like that and not include the very place that you're going to be robbing of taxes?
You know, Jeff, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you talked about just the proposal and how it sounds nice and how these people won't be around. The reality is, I think a lot of this is a slogan, no different than tax cap per se. It sounds great, doesn't it? Who doesn't want their property taxes capped?
Startup New York.
Doesn't that sound good, guys?
Startup
New York, you know, and unfortunately, I'm just not sure the substance is there. And I would even argue, even as we've dug deeper in our discussions of consolidation and how we can even actually do that with the state incentivized programs, as we dig deeper, it becomes even more and more complicated. And unfortunately, I think we have another example of that here.
And actually, if you dig deeper and you go and look, the original version of the plan, and I think Dan or you or Kevin will have a fight to see who likes the name. You know what the original name of the plan was?
Tax-free.
Yeah.
Tax-free New York.
Tax-free, yeah, tax-free New York.
Yeah.
For everybody.
That's the best part about it. It's not for everybody. It's for the select few.
Which, by the way, they rolled that out in New Paltz.
Yes, it
Tax-free New York, yeah. And now they decided, wow, it doesn't sound so good.
Which I did. I had actually been up in Albany the day before on hydrofracking with all the environmental groups, talking to the top deputy for the state on fracking. I came home to get a call from the police chief telling me we were invited to a thing at the college the next day on tax-free New York. And I sent a letter up to somebody up at the governor's office saying, you're coming to New York to announce this? I mean, New Paltz to announce this? And said, do you know what you're walking into? And it was an interesting place to pick. But you know, it's funny though on the flip side. I got Rosanna sent this to me today. This was through our beautiful new website where people can contact us and they can draft an email and we get it. So it was sent to Rosanna, and it said, you know, hello, my name is John Miller, project developer with Grow Solar. We're a solar PV project development and construction contractor experienced in the New York market, specifically large-scale projects. I'm reaching out because I want to see if New Paltz would be interested in partnering with Grow Solar for a solar PV project. This is the interesting thing. We believe Ulster County to be an ideal place for a solar facility due to the unique tax advantages. So I don't know if they're talking about the tax-free, you know, they mean the tax-free New York or whatever. I mean, they picked New Paltz, you know. What do you say?
The pilot program.
I mean, they often go, you know, I mean, there's good stuff here. We can offer tangible benefits such as utility bill savings with uncertainty, revenue on locally owned property, via lease and tax revenue. Other benefits we can offer include repurposing unused or unusable land, such as landfills or brownfields, green energy, and various educational benefits to the local school system. And then they talk about how they're working on projects, a large project in the city of Rome, and how they work very closely with NYSERDA. I mean, so I will, and they have a 100% success rate with their applications to NYSERDA. So it's good. I mean, I'll reach out to them, but I just thought it was interesting they said the unique tax advantage. And I just wondered if that was, you know, if that's because of the tax-free or whatever. So, I mean, we have to give it time. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think we should create tax-free New Paltz, and everybody in New Paltz should be tax-free, and we should call it quits, but...
I have a question.
Sure.
I mean, I read that document. Maybe you guys read it better. So when they talk about the employees getting tax breaks, that means they're not going to pay income tax.
They pay no income taxes.
Let me ask you a question. If they buy a house in New Paltz, do they not pay property tax on their house either for 10 years?
No. That's
okay, I just want to be sure.
At least not today.
Okay. That'll be the next proposal.
What we'll do is we'll call the president and the guy from the college who's been hired to handle all this. I'll try to set up a meeting. Since we do have to get back and we'll have to decide on next week what we're going to want to say if they need it by April 2nd, some of you, it's probably going to be myself and you because
I
Jeff,
can do it Tuesday.
you know, I don't know if you can-
you know, and now that we have another big project, I'll be with the planning board a lot more.
Okay,
So
I'm just saying that I'll try to make the meeting for Tuesday. Okay, and Jeff, Kevin and I.
Can I send out a rough draft of what I've written to everybody, and everyone
Sure.
kind of edit on that,
Sure.
and then we can get a letter together by next Thursday?
Sure. So now, before we move, sure. Well, I just wanted to just one question because I wanted to ask George. You had asked about potentially referring this to the planning board, which is not a problem. The planning board has should feel free to comment and whatever. Is there a formal process you want us to do, or?
I had contemplated, I just wondered if you wanted the board to look at it.
We would love everybody to look at it, so if the planning board wants to weigh in on our Monday night, I don't know if you'll be able to weigh in until we get some of the answers relative to what they plan on doing with these particular properties, and if Michael, you, or Tim, want to join us when we meet, that's not a problem. But so I'll throw it into your hands, whatever you guys want to do with it on Monday night, that's for you to decide.
So I had a question, because
Sure.
it was unclear to me, and I'm curious if maybe...
Are they okay without the microphone? No? Okay, Tim, you got to come grab a...
This bit was unclear to me, and I'm curious, maybe it made some sense to you guys, but so if the college is saying that a property would still stay on the tax rolls, and then, you
Just for property tax, sure.
for property tax purposes, and then let's say that a business is developed and they make improvements to that property, then it kind of feels like we're headed down another complicated path where the assessor will say, well, the improvements are worth this, and then how will that get sorted out from the college's perspective of saying, like, well, these improvements are from this business that should be tax-free. You know what I mean? It seems like
twofold. Okay, first of all, I think you're bringing up a good point, and what maybe Monday night you guys could do is do a list of questions. So if we have a meeting on Tuesday, we can ask these questions, and again, if any of you want to come, you're more than welcome. I think, quite frankly, I don't think any of that is thought out, because I think I'm not so sure any of the other startup New Yorks are basically putting into their plan that they want their businesses to pay property tax. Don, the president, has been in enough town gal meetings with us where between myself and Ira and the Wilmerite project, he's heard enough about how we feel about property off the tax rolls and how hard it is for residents at this point and stuff. So I think when the Startup New York came, he understood that to go down the road of taking more property off the tax rolls was suicide in this community, basically. So that's why I'm very happy to see that they put that statement in. And I think that's a real reflection of the fact that this community is really hurting and they're listening to us. And so I would really think we need to acknowledge that and thank them for it. But I think a lot of those questions have not been thought out. Right. So how we want it to be structured, we need to be clear. We need to ask the questions. We need to say what we want. We need to say this is what we want in the plan. And I think we need to assure that if this does get into the plan, that the state can't override the local community's plan to take away what we're saying. So there's still a lot of work to do.
That seemed like a whole to me, so I feel good that it seems like a whole to you guys, too. Okay.
I
take Kevin.
Yeah. When I was reading that section, I almost felt as if the real property tax loss as a result of the tax-free New York entity owning real property could possibly be made up in the form of rents. That's the way I read it. So, and that creates a whole nother question of how do you assure that your tenant's going to keep paying that as rent? And so it creates a whole nother level of legality. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, at least there's a recognition. That's the first step. That's the first step. It's a recognition.
It is
so
a recognition.
At least it's something that we can work from, and that's what we have to do. And we have to take it really seriously. So, any other comments, questions, recommendations, suggestions?
No.
Okay, so then with that, we can move on to just the business of running the town. So real quickly, what I would like to do first is have the board, I forgot to do this earlier, is, did I not announce this? Oh my God, Larry Braun, I didn't know he passed away. Okay, I don't know if anybody knows Larry Braun. He was from Gardner, a very good man. I guess he passed away of congestive heart failure on November 21st, 2013. A memorial celebration of Larry's life is planned for Saturday, April 26th from 1 to 5 at the Rosendale Recreation Center. There's going to be a potluck at 1 o'clock, and 2 to 3:30 a roast, 3:30 to 5 a dance, and 5 o'clock the party's over. So we were asked by Addie Haas, who was a very, very, very good friend of Larry Braun. I'm writing on behalf of the Parkinson's Disease Support Group of the Mid-Hudson Valley, of which I am a member. We again respectfully request that you join the U.S. Senate that each year declare April as Worldwide Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. I have attached a proclamation template which you can fill in or copy onto your own documents. Last year, 20 Hudson Valley municipalities, including the town and village of New Paltz, issued a similar proclamation for 2013. So we're being asked to do a...
I move we adopt the proclamation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, what I'd like to do is adopt this proclamation in honor of Larry Braun. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, we have the police Crown Vic that we have to sell.
You have the gavel? You're going to have an auction?
As we discussed at the police commission meeting, the police car that SUNY Ulster is interested in buying was checked out today by one of their members. The car is in need of some repair, however, it would be sold as is. They had offered $2,500 for it. I believe that would be more than if we were to sell it at any auction. If you'd like to have this at your next regular meeting agenda, please let me know so I can give Ulster an estimate time. So anyway, would somebody like to make a motion to sell the Crown Vic to SUNY Ulster at $2,500?
So
Says $2,500.
So moved. And Chris, I know you looked at it. Does that sound reasonable to you also, that the Crown Vic that the police had?
Yeah, I think I only got
$2,500
for the other one.
How much?
I think it was $800 we got for the other one that we got.
Yeah, I think
good deal.
it's very good. So I think, because Joe was very surprised by the bid also that they
Because it has
proposed.
the $7,000 computer in it.
And it has been, so Kevin will be, no, it has been, Kevin, it has been stripped of the town property.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Highway stuff, the Highway 284 agreement, which we do every year.
I move we adopt the Highway 284 agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Approval for bid specifications for the purchase of the compact track loader skid steer budgeted in 2014. Is there anything you need to tell us, Chris or Laura?
No, I do have paperwork you have to sign for the 284.
Okay, so you bring it up here and we'll sign it.
So are you guys going to split the cost of these two items that you're going out to public bid for?
No.
You're not?
No.
Use the
It's
microphone.
just yours?
It was just highway. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right.
You got to sign that. We all have to individually sign out legally.
Gene, you have a
Okay,
motion?
so does somebody want to make a motion to approve the bid specifications?
So, the bid specs, you wrote them? Okay.
They're right here.
I saw him, I just want to make sure he's happy with them because he has to live with the results of it. Because actually, I'm making a motion to go out to public bid, is that correct?
Yes.
Right, because you want to have a bid opening at noon on April 21st, so that's my motion.
Second.
He wants to do, town report for accepting bid proposals. for
April
purchase.
14th, my mistake.
Okay, you would like to amend it? April 14th at 12
April
noon.
14th.
I accept your amendment.
Thank you.
Second.
You're welcome. Sorry, second. We're
Any
already
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Approval for bid specification for the purchase of a 24,000-pound 2-ton tilt trailer.
So, does my motion not include both items?
I thought you
No,
did.
it's there's,
Aren't they the same day, 12 noon?
but it's two
April
different,
14th?
Pieces of equipment.
Two different
I
pieces of
know,
equipment.
but I meant it was a dual motion.
But did you make it that way?
I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
I meant it that way.
Well, let's,
I thought my head spilled it
Instead of a
out.
dual motion then, so Gene would like to make the same motion again, except this time for the second piece of equipment, which is the skid,
It's a tilt trailer.
the tilt trailer.
There's two words.
24,000-pound tilt trailer.
Two words that are like that. It's so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Thank you.
Chris, this agreement of expenditure of highway monies, this is the for the,
That's the 284.
okay,
That's the
great,
284.
okay. So we just all have to sign that. Okay, the only other thing, is the warrant.
We just
Did George leave? No, we should have kept him here.
He's here.
Oh, is he here? Because we might want to have another conversation based on...
No, she's asking a question.
Sure, Laura.
Actually, a conversation with Chris today about the...
You need to use the microphone. Do you want to go to George? Maybe we want to have a conversation with him? George wants to come?
Is this thing on?
Yeah. Can you go grab him and tell him that we're going to go into...
Chris and I had a conversation today about the surplus police vehicles. Staff and I have been talking about purchasing a smaller vehicle, because when I go do events, I also participate with the Hudson Valley Regional Council, which is the Regional Solid Waste Authority, so we stay in touch, because at one time the Hudson Valley Materials Exchange was part of that, so as a reuse center, we are. But it either means taking a personal vehicle to do town work, or taking the dump truck. And that the dump truck's not always easy to maneuver around, especially if they're meeting in downtown New Paltz. Chris did say one of the vehicles is available. So,
one of the police cars?
Yeah, one of the police cars.
I have 3 police cars that the chief brought down.
Oh, okay. You need to use the microphone, Chris, sorry.
One of which we're replacing the cleaner's car with, and the other 2 we're not doing anything with. They're just going to go out to auction, or I'll put them out to
That's 3 more.
public bid.
That's 3 more over and above the one that we just are giving to Cindy Ulster? Okay, so Laura's saying that you'd like to try to keep one for the recycling center up there.
We use a dump truck when we come down to pick up officers.
And actually, Chris, don't run away. Chris, don't run too far. Is it? Are we going to be putting a lot of money in, or based on Laura's limited miles, these will be serviceable for a while?
I think it's $4.99 for a bottle of stop leak.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll be all right.
Okay, so we can take action on that next week if, because we have to formally accept.
Yes, we will. Yeah, do that next week. Laura, let's get a memo out and we'll do
I
that
plan on doing
next
that.
week. Absolutely.
Okay, so,
And we have the warrant.
okay, we have the warrant. The only thing before we do the warrant is, I got this in my packet, signatures and review needed from board members for tonight's meeting. So there were a couple of, who did the warrant this?
Kevin and I did.
Okay, so this was put in here. The front one and the back one don't look like they're in the warrant, but the others look like they're in the warrant, and you just missed it. But we could double check. But I did look, some of those are definitely in the warrant that are already being approved, you just didn't sign them. But then there's Laura, did you get yours in late? The one that,
This is a Laura.
the reuse contract, the reuse center?
'Cause I had all the Central Hudson.
Bill, did you just get that to us? Or was that, that one was put in time, your Central Hudson?
Did you also did our Central Hudson bill go up appreciably?
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
And yours?
My one at home, our business one, we haven't gotten yet, and I'm scared.
Doubled. And that was with public work.
38%.
I mean, I get these calls frequently, and it's at least my understanding, I'm talking to Central Hudson, it has to do with the cost of electricity and natural gas. And they have told me that it's a temporary thing.
Oh, you mean natural gas isn't so cheap?
Turns out,
No.
especially with manipulated.
I know that.
It's a lie. I thought it was because of the sale.
I am being sarcastic.
I was told that it was a temporary issue.
Is it a temporary issue
Yeah, I
because
can-
of the
yeah,
severe
so-
winter?
That's fine.
They
I
just don't know if
The
two
severe
that are not in the
winter
warrant.
has
So
played
that's-
a role in it.
So we'll
It's
just
not
approve it, we'll
specific to
approve, we'll
just
sign
that.
them, we'll approve the warrant. And then if there's two that are, we'll just approve
Yes.
those, that expenditure next
But
week.
if we had a regular one, we
Because some of them are in there, I double checked every one.
yes.
And their explanation is it's
They have-
temporary?
I've spoken to them many times, and I will be very candid and say I don't really think they have great explanations.
Thank you. Because I was about to beat it out of you.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to accept the warrant?
Before I was having that little.
And Jean, did you have any
Central
questions?
Hudson.
Oh.
The Central Hudson thing, Even if it came in at the last minute, it can be prepaid against next month.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I said
No,
was...
it's in there.
What I did was I checked all the ones that were put in this thing, and it looks like almost all of them are in here. They just didn't get signed, but there were just two I couldn't find. So what I said is, let's approve the warrant as it is. If two of those aren't in it, then we'll just approve that expenditure next week. But Kevin and Jeff are auditing it right this second anyway.
Okay.
Okay? So we can move it based
Well,
on this.
there's one, is this one in here? Because actually, Kevin?
Yeah.
It's something that I signed.
It is in here.
I sign this one, okay, Kevin just needs to miss this one. I do sign this one each year, and Gene may have a comment on it, and it bothers me every single year. For us to hold a community Easter egg hunt down at Huguenot Street, every year they charge us $100 to use a field. It's not the amount, I believe we...
I know, but see, last month we did the vouchers and we ended up with the voucher for the eggs. And you know what?
I am okay with the
I
eggs.
said to myself...
Do we always do eggs?
Yes, we do eggs.
Well, we always do the eggs.
Absolutely.
And I said, it's a... I know that this is going to come out crazy, so if it doesn't come out right, I apologize, because sometimes I say things and they just don't come out of my mouth
Yes,
right.
Gene, there is no Easter Bunny.
No, just say it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The volume of eggs
I thought that was her question.
that Jim does at the youth center, I think, is a very good activity. It keeps the kids involved. What goes on Huguenot Street, I think that $100 is worth it. And then I saw he put in about the costume. Why he's only asking to buy the costume now after all
No,
these
I believe
years.
it's
I mean, seriously, Jim?
But actually, it's not that, no,
Right?
and Gene, I'm sorry, you said better than, it's not, I'm not minding spending the money, it's that I'm very surprised that the Huguenot Historical Society will not donate the use of a field at no cost to the youth of this community. That's the part I find, that's the part I find.
It actually gets better. I feel that because of the visibility they get, the fire truck comes down, the reporters are there, there's pictures, the little kids are having the time of their lives. I mean, it's just, it's so much fun.
As we sit here under the coat of arms of the, well, there's not 12 up there, so that can't be the Duzine.
But you know what?
But
After paying for the eggs, and the costume, and $100, this is a really big community event.
I agree with you. Oh, no, I agree.
So anyway, was that your no on there?
No, that was, I said yes. I just put a note on it that it bothers me. That was Kevin. So let me just hold these for a minute.
Okay,
It's just
so
always,
Gene,
I like the event. I love the event. It's just that I'm surprised.
Well, actually, quite frankly, last year I talked to Jim about moving it over to Memorial Park, based on the fact that we wouldn't have to pay that fee.
Yeah.
So I had asked him about that, but I don't remember there were reasons why or whatever.
Well, the Easter Bunny also arrives from St. Joseph's and uses Hasbrook Park. I don't know if the 2 days conflict or not that they do them on. I met the Easter Bunny.
They still do it, St. Joe's? They still do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is an Easter Bunny.
Oh, yes, there is an Easter Bunny. I apologize. That was just a joke. That was just a joke, Gene. There is an Easter Bunny. Yes.
There is.
Also, I did not know if Arlene had put the system in. Also, when you did the warrants last month, of a question and answer sheet. Has she put that into place yet? She provides. Oh, this is good.
No,
I wish
I wrote
Arlene
my
was here to kick it off. She provides
wrote
a
my
sheet.
own.
Well, she does now. She actually has a form now that you fill out. It's an actual form, and you put the questions in, and then she takes those questions and she sends them out for you to the appropriate department heads, and gets the answers and sends you back either they. Well, they come back through her because she is now saving all those answers with the warrants too. So she is both getting the questions, saves those with the warrants, and then she saves the answers with the warrant, should we ever need to go back and find out why we did something.
That's great. But that's also after she answers all my questions first.
And that's fine.
Which is on the paper that I approve. I always sort of have question marks and Okay, so did, Dan, you second the warrant?
No, I don't think, I guess,
Make a motion.
I guess, no,
No, you
I
make
make
a
a
motion.
motion, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we approve the March 2014 warrant in the amount of 254,602.37.
And since Kevin's not here, I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So we have the minutes, which wasn't even going to come in, did not read them.
You know, I did not read
Okay,
them
we're
either.
going to have to put them off to next week because...
I'm sorry, I didn't, you know what, that's one thing I did not
Okay,
get to.
so the only thing is, I think I sent Kevin to see if we could have a conversation with George about client attorney conversation on Lithgow, on Wilmerite. So let's wait. Well, we'll be quick. And we also actually should talk about contract negotiations, of which we had a meeting this morning.
He's not fully prepared at this juncture, so he'd rather have it next week.
Okay. So, after the finding statement. Okay, so do you think we need to talk about the meeting this morning with the board so we know what we're doing next Thursday?
I would actually, I'd actually like to. I think that would be a good thing, because we're getting together again.
Yeah.
So I think we really should. I'd like to have a
So we're
executive
going to have to
session
go, we're
first.
going to have to make a motion to go to executive session to, we had a contract negotiation meeting this morning with the police, and we have a meeting scheduled for next Thursday, and so there's some things that Jeff and I need to discuss so we know how to go forward with the board telling us how they want to go forward.
And actually, I apologize. It was, just so it is posted correctly, it was not a contract negotiation meeting.
management.
It was a labor management meeting with the police, just so it's referenced.
Well, we had
correctly.
contract last week.
Yes.
They asked for a labor management meeting so we can go over a bunch of issues before we go back to a contract negotiation. So,
Is that a motion that you made?
Yes, so I got a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiation for the police.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. We'll be back, it won't be that long.
No, really.
That's not today. We had too much, Jeff, we have all of these?
Take them, there's 3 copies. Take it with you because the boys have to sign it.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm just doing mine first.
I'll tell you, Susan, I love how ShopRite is coming back to bite the board behind for what they did for them. They reduced their taxes.
Oh, did they?
The bar refused to. They came before Tony and the board and asked to be reduced, and Tony and the board voted to do it.
I'm going to make Kevin sign all those.
So now it's coming back to bite them.
Let's go.
I'm going to make Kevin sign them all while we're...
I have this, also I have this for you guys to sign.
Yes, that's the 549.
Facing of ShopRite, it's
No problem.
never been
I
done
signed them all. We're going to make Kevin
redo it.
I told you, it's not as good as the other one, but yeah, don't worry, I get those, they drop those off. Yeah, you got to sign it.
No, I get a kick out of how these corporations get so greedy and they get so used to these deals.
Is that your lawyer, Stephen?
I mean, ShopRite, come on. ShopRite, the karate studio.
I grew up.
Yes.
Beautiful guy.
Absolutely.
Wednesday, 5 o'clock. You want to go door to door?
Wednesday, 5 o'clock. In New Paltz?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
He wants 4 people. I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
So there's Susan, Hector, Pam, and Tom Rocco. I have a show like a mile away. Lately, a sewer pump. No, that's my 12 o'clock, about 2 o'clock now.
No, that's not what I said.
Grandma, Rosanna said shut up. She wants to go home.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I know Susan had asked for information.
I mean, it's actually, it's harder because
Oh, like a real chick? Like a chick? Yeah.
I just trash a ton. He's part of the scale.
It's usually like,
I'm dealing
with them.
The fire department asked me to do a car show out at the
No, oh, embedded.
Yeah. No.
Two downstairs. Randall's shop and Mitchell's shop.
Fairgrounds. May I ask you if I'm ready to play dance? A truck.
I'll be ready to do the league.
I said, but I can't. Well, I told him, I said, you gotta put out the garbage, you gotta put out the recycling. And they wanna put out the recycling because they take all the recycling back up to the Canadian, they give you steel. But, I said, I can't pay to get rid of your garbage. I don't, you know, I can't justify that as a building and grounds expense. How do they use it? Yeah, well, that's what the kid asked me. I said, look, you gotta go to at least, I said, figure a ton. I said, you're never gonna get that much. So I told him between 60.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I forget, there was some
yeah, I told him between 60 and $80. I said, if you want me to pick it up, I said, I'll pick it up. If you want me to, you have to get the board to authorize that, you know, because I gotta take it across the skid hill, and I gotta pay for it, and I gotta get that reimbursed.
Oh, like this. And that's what.
I don't know.
It was, he was.
You know, there are some phones that you can watch it
Things
with
with the
them,
beds,
like chat.
they had 20 of those things out there.
Because he wasn't heavy, like some of them are like.
I'm not gonna pay for
That's
it.
when it's
I can't.
It's always like, you know, he had
If there was something I could slip it through on,
The
and build as a grounds garbage that,
T,
you know, on a Monday we do our run or something.
there are guys who like
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm worried about. It's only a couple minutes. It's supposed to be a big event, you know, crafts fair and all this stuff, so I could potentially want to. Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble. But other thing, I do enough that I'm trying to order.
Oh, so you get to sleep in? Yeah, I get to sleep in. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, I'd love to sleep in. I can only sleep until 9 because I have to let my puppy out. Yeah. And then for some reason my kitten lets himself out. Oh, really?
I missed the bar mitzvah. It was the bar mitzvah because I didn't go to the bar mitzvah.
So we lock him up. So we put him in there, and then he won't actually open the door and get out. And my dad is always complaining, Andy, that's out. And I said, well, I didn't run out. It's your
Hands at the
house.
table.
Please,
I checked out my property. And I said to him, bring forth a project that's good for the community. Not something that's going to wipe out all our small business, bring in lots of traffic as a regional place. Crap. This is not the type of town.
When I get them, everyone usually picks up most of it.
It was never personal.
he also had
It's so funny the way
three other
things
brothers and one sister. Mistletoe, Twinkle, Star,
They were in a
and
condo. He was in the same condo as that is just like.
And what is it?
Oh,
they all have different
Oh, they live at the church. But they live at the church.
I got
Mistletoe is twice Bo's size. He was this big.
So there was a lot of stuff.
Bo was this big, and Mistletoe was this big, twice the size. And Twinkle and Star were about the same size.
First of all, it's 10 years, and they're starting giving us $1 million a year. Exactly. I can live with $1 million a year will affect your taxes. And what you do is, and don't forget, before that,
He got money from
Yeah, I know. It was funny when they mentioned the Easter eggs, because I was out there a week ago, last week, checking the sidewalk, and a UPS truck showed up, and the guy was carrying boxes of Easter eggs. And I'm like, oh boy, yeah, little plastic ones. Oh, I don't know. But it probably buys them from you. Well, he probably gets like $20 for 1,000 of the damn things, you know. But it was funny because it was Easter egg. Huh? I wonder if you got a voucher for that one.
Really just wants you to love him.
Oh boy, we'll have Rachel with God cut, because she got in trouble the other year for going
So I said,
Any beer signs, put them on the side, please. I caught, I got a garage.
And I was like, oh, actually, no, get back up to the front. I said, if we were going over Starbucks is downtown, and even that, I don't have a problem with
Make a
it.
difference. Collect neon lights, collect anything.
You're not gonna have Starbucks.
I hang in my garage, it's like extra lighting. Yeah.
See, everything's pink. I know Pat's
One of my
pink.
sister-in-laws
Cloud's pink.
was a, she worked for a beer distribution, so I got all kinds of stuff for a while.
It's a
Then we stopped
picture.
talking, I didn't get anything.
It's a shade of pink, not white. It's purple.
Usually she just sends them $100, but we went.
My room is pink. It's kind of like this.
Yeah, we might even get all three.
You know, my room is blue and
The ceiling is pink,
And I'll
the
tell you,
walls are blue, and you know like
Craig, DBQ,
like
and Jay,
the squares? Yeah, that's all we have to do is get some carpeting up there. The people that Daddy paid to do the job did.
What is it, 284?
Grandma, stop and do what we do.
I'm not, I'm trying to push her.
Look at that. They all signed it. The only one who didn't sign it, by agreement with the town to spend their money. I am on, technically,
Kevin didn't sign it?
no, he didn't. Before this is signed, I am under their thumb. They control every bit of my life. The minute they sign this, I'm autonomous. We had a big meeting about it today.
Yeah.
I've seen it, corporation, they always say we can't
It's
do
not like we
it.
don't come to the mask anyway.
No, but it is, I mean, this is highway law, we're supposed to do this.
Yeah, big fucking quick
And I look up there, I can't.
How many McDonald's before we have to change?
But I've seen it change, like, I've seen plenty.
See, I can't even see now.
Just not as
Any copies of this?
Okay.
Because I was just in County,
I need 12.
One
Valley.
Cheese 12.
Cheese.
Originals, bound.
They opened up everybody's savings, discuss their life, and there's also.
I got one. You got one? Someone else got one.
Place that sells stronger, but it's like the ones.
Oh, county. I'm supposed to mail it. You know, you mail it to the.
So, I
it's in the back of it. That was it. They don't care anymore. County highway superintendent.
Because they need them.
Who is that now?
And if they want them, it's a thing with them.
I don't know. I asked once 2 years ago, and I, well, yeah, this thing sounds right. I don't know who it was.
Get out of here. Employment.
I don't, like I said, I don't send them in. Like,
We'll be starting this appointment.
No.
as long as you have the board sign,
You'd be
you're
done in 20
good,
minutes.
you're covered.
Why?
Why? Because you're tough, that's
Because
why.
you don't want to sit there for 4 hours, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I said, yeah.
They give you a gavel?
I said, you should be reading.
These guys are very, very,
No,
they made
it's
a great presentation. And I think,
Are you ready, baby?
Yeah.
You were ready, you wanted to go.
they know.
Take me with
Maybe I should take these gloves since
It's becoming
nobody's
these type of things.
jumped on the
It's like
opportunity.
going to do.
Remember, you're not here, you don't know where that.
Hey, if you live in the
They're not
city,
in your
you can get
car.
something.
I do wear them, no, I just put them on backwards.
Beautiful.
Because I broke all my nails and I was digging in the oil container and I pulled up something, I thought it was a leaf and it was a dead mouse. Gross.
So you have 3 counties. One of them is obviously.
No.
Downstairs in the basement.
I didn't even have to look at the screen.
I haven't put it in my office yet.
Okay.
And I told Mike today, she just needs to cool
Oh,
her
all
hat.
right. Okay, so it's just a matter of moving stuff
Yeah.
back. Susan was asking for the shelving units. Because she spotted 2 and she said, oh, those are mine over at the reuse center. And I said, no, there's 5 in the basement and they all
I
match.
was here, I came back.
They're nice pieces of furniture. I don't know, is she gonna cover up that
I was
window?
just saying, like, you know, I guess you couldn't get any closer than what she said.
Did they have more filing cabinets?
They do, but, she called me, she said, she always used to get sneezy when she went down there, so she may have tested for mold. Apparently, they have mold. And I wasn't really that concerned about it, it's not the deep sea. So they don't want to take a chance necessarily, which is really unfortunate because a lot of people have cabinets. So I was just like chomping at the bit to get my hands on them. And I mean, it's not like there's green mold. Probably get rid of the papers, that's the biggest issue right there.
There's papers on them?
Yeah.
Were they not in?
I guess they were. Yeah, so that's what they were doing, is you'd have staff to go down there and start sorting through the papers. So, but I mean, when I sort through my papers, it's super dusty. That records management thing, are you training, or is that where everyone's gonna go through their records?
Well, I'm having Linda Bull from State Archives come and do a presentation first. She said that should take about an hour, but she'll stay for a while, you know, in case there's any questions and things like that. But, you know, it's really just to get people more familiar with the records retention because they just don't know. And they give me something and say, no, I have to do this, or here, you do something with it. And every department really should be responsible for their own stuff. So it's very introductory, and then at some point, you know, she'll leave and then everyone can just go do their own, take care of their own stuff.
Sort of a mass burning in the back parking lot.
That's right. Oh, listen to this. Listen to this. Gardner's having a community shredding day, so that anybody can come and do it. Last year, this is Hudson Valley Shred. And so I don't know what the prices are like compared to Iron Mountain, but you know, there isn't a lot of interest in your records management.
Used to be on a
Records
point
management at all,
counter
by any of the towns. There's a lot of it's hard to say.
I mean, I thought it was problems because of our
the economy.
you know, I mean, minutes, for instance, archive.
I got so many records, it's fucking you don't throw anything away. Put it on top of those.
I mean, yeah, mechanical records, you have to keep the mechanics,
Every once in a
all
while,
the maintenance that
I
you
will
did,
enjoy
the
any
years
of
after
those
you
Oh, we don't write those.
That's exactly where it is.
You should have a separate file on each video. They can give you those 30 years, you can keep those for 36 years. The only thing I'm not clear on, because I couldn't get a definitive answer, was technically, do you fall under landfill with the records when you continue? Or are they just business records?
I'm serious.
Well, that's still solid waste. That could be a question.
No, it was really.
You can actually play all the
But I'm very surprised because a lot of folks said that they wouldn't get the support from their village organizers to close town hall for a day.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is because
They're also not getting ready, hopefully getting ready to move. Come on, the stuff uptown.
I said that too, I said.
And the cruise line, they say we'll give you. Yeah, I know.
Get stuff in place, it's less stuff to move later and less to do.
Oh, heck yeah.
There's a lot of that stuff you have back that could probably shred.
But I don't understand why towns wouldn't want their records. I know, and you're not, you don't have a
You know why? Because any
I mean, 16, 17,
people are very scared to get rid of old records, even if it's just old documents, it's stupid stuff, because it's history to a lot of
That's the
people.
thing, they say, you know, you should keep it if it has some commercial value.
You know, something that Peter Sevago signed, or Bill Naples, or stuff
Oh, yes,
that's even, go back even further. You know, oh, this is, you think about it, if you really had to dig into something like who signed the original deed for town hall or something like that, and it had to, some crazy reason you had to find it, it's probably back there. God knows if you can find it, but it's probably back there.
and you need it, this girl that talks about it, she goes, well, you can't close down students. I can't. You know, it's not like I don't get interrupted constantly.
Carol sends me every time she finds something, I get a pile of stuff.
You do need
walk
to be
out.
uninterrupted.
Get to here, you walk out.
I mean, really,
And
she's
she's
the stairs, you can go to rubber bands.
But this time,
There's a lot of work.
practice.
I haven't heard.
Oh, I went to, I
think
went
it's
this other
Rosemary.
way. I stayed overnight when she was there. It was
Hundreds of thousands.
yeah, if I wanted to get going,
That's
you know,
why
hotel,
I figured
but
that was
yeah.
all the way up.
Well, you would think, with the grants that she got, records management would be in
So
better
if you're in
shape.
Houston, Montego Bay, they took all the
She knew where
supplies,
everything was.
they're looking for jobs, and now they're on the street because they had.
Half of them are probably crammed in your office.
Well, yes, in a sense, but that's not the way.
Where if they left them alone, that would have been much better.
So I went
I don't know. But you know what, she wanted to prevent everything, and I think that's why she never pursued anything like this, or to push for anyone, because she didn't want, she didn't want.
She didn't want someone to come by, I'm looking for this document, and we got rid of that. What do you mean? We don't have to keep it. Well, why don't, you get the old war horses that want to, I could say Dave let me come in, I need something I signed back in whenever, just for
Well, he should know.
You weren't there.
Well, then pull out, what is it, MS1?
Is that what it is?
MU, it's an MU.
So what is it?
There's only so much you can keep.
So I wrote
stuff everywhere.
It was one of those beautiful things, all glass with the reggae glass, which is fine. They didn't have the one that did one of those. Beautiful tours, music,
We don't do anything.
and it was never, it's not $60.
Even I don't do it. We have work orders on it, but the only thing I say work orders on is buildings and grounds.
I've never seen anything wrong with
I got them. I don't do the mechanics, so it's something they have to do. They used to put it in the computer. They used to do it that way. We're just too darn busy. That's no excuse, but I'm just saying, it's there's 3 trucks in that garage being worked on continuously. It just never stops. Get one done, another one comes in. Get those 2 done.
Oh, no, it's like, whatever the J's were, music came out of the J's.
I'm taking these gloves. I'm just gonna throw a freak in there.
So basically, actually,
I'm glad. Did I send you? I have the household hazardous waste.
And I have that.
And you have this one, and you have spring cleanup. Okay. I need to get you, we're gonna do a volunteer day, we're gonna try to get greenhouse done. And, community giveaway, did I send you? Alright, so you're informed.
So you want to put the community giveaway thing on
This other friend is like my best one.
A bunch of volunteers and really collect these stuff. I don't know what's too soon.
good business.
It'd be nice to have everyone lined up. I've already done the city mail, so I thought I'd have like teams go out to certain places. What I need to do is hear back from the college.
For glass.
They actually have to stay in the building.
That's very expensive. Okay. As long as you know what you're worth.
So
she did help write that.
Okay. Per glass, that's.
You mean the one they're bashing here?
So, she's going back to buy 2 but she was a
But it works.
The first time she said it,
Still not quite understand it.
she kicked me so hard.
Kevin was just
I said,
saying,
well, it's fine. When she said she's going back, I said, I'll go back. So I didn't tell her.
I like the idea that one part, build it. Go get a shovel, build it. That makes sense. I used to go to Great Wolf. Look the same. God, it's amazing. No, it's nice and quiet outside. Even with all the people there, there's nothing. Oh my God, it's like 7 stories. You could probably fit 6 of my garages in their water park. And you look at it like, oh, crap. Yeah.
Not purposely.
Common sense is
That'd be great. Hell, even I was enthused. That's a win-win.
But she couldn't.
We're gonna have a big problem with sewer. That might actually work out good.
She had a building.
Well, they might just build our plant. Plus, we have a grant to fix our plans, so.
Oh, did you get this?
I got it. That's what they talk about.
One of my other best friends.
Oh, six.
Cool.
Pretty sure they got together, they keep talking about it.
I thought I had a grant, and they said, because they said, congratulations, you got the grant, and then girl said you got something, sorry, you didn't get the grant. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
When the check shows up, somebody else.
He was a very funny guy. And he come in, he's so nice to me. He's so nice. They can't get good stuff because we put a bunch of projects and he said, we can't get rope. We need good rope, like I thought that he said.
I'm just putting these papers out, and then we can go. Is the coat on?
Yeah, because they have the goods on it, the shirts, the tie-dyes. So I go in, and when it comes to customs, I have to do that. So you must have pulled it.
You had in spring break?
You say that's my whole day, my friend.
They could put those chairs back in the break room.
They didn't know what to say. They just said, really? But you have to be careful because you understand custom agents, all the agents, they're all the same. I mean, I was pretty crazy.
I just want you to know.
And they come so
Not like that.
when I went to train, I just did this one. The next
They
day,
don't come around singing and dancing.
I didn't break your
really.
And the husband was trying to buy it. I traded her for some straw, that very nice straw baskets and stuff, just so that you know. But Ada said she was just such a funny country, and I'm just so home. I mean, I was just.
You do?
We bought batteries also.
That doesn't count. That's not.
You know, for some reason, I would put them in
That you can learn.
Why are you on TV?
Why are you on TV?
You are.
back then now.
You know, when they make pink lemonade, is there pink lemon? They're not? I always thought there was like grapefruit. So they just color lemonade like, but it's sweeter. So they could like just put
mushrooms, take a little second. I had a great experience.
sugar, Rob.
And I read about it too. And I read about it like every I read about it in one of those
Make blue lemonade.
So I still have it.
It's like watch.
So my friends left. I don't know.
Just curious as to who
Mom,
thought
those
of that.
mushrooms, they don't work for me. She said, mushrooms not the problem. They can. She said, but I make you another one. Because that's what the pink's got.
Is it?
The woman in the shack next to her has big chunks of aloe for 3 or 4 hours. I gotta have
Either? Well, I guess yellow.
But meanwhile, I'm laying there, and these things
Yeah.
are and then I go back.
Isn't the white supposed to produce fat?
Now, I don't have a problem eating what I do because I don't get it.
Like mozzarella.
Crazy. When I come back, first I come back,
Fresh mozzarella.
it's the best. My friend,
Mozzarella and basil.
with the red ones, Richard Price,
Tomato. Like fresh tomatoes.
he's sitting at the table watching. He's just taking this one.
I don't know, I can't find it. I guess we'll be
And this is mushrooms now because I really like switches. I just, every time I do, back then, the one thing that happened, I can start things and we clear out just all this kind of stuff, but I can just feel it easier.
Oh, you are so kidding.
But it's
Oh, I'm kidding.
those type of lessons are cultures. Everybody just thinks as much as they can. I didn't know the times like this. But I have to watch it.
No, I guess.
Okay. I won't spoil it. Because the one thing is, unfortunately, I think we should be confused.
But he was supposed to go a lot further. I'm surprised they did that so early, unless they feel they could take the characters further. I mean, she was.
Well, I know what Don says. No, they didn't. But they didn't. Took a choice.
Well, no,
And
she said, well, you know, I was trying to do
so that she stayed and she started putting it out. She never wanted to do. There is no DJ one.
And apparently she was.
Even in New York State walkers, she can't stop.
Did they say that?
They said to watch the Talking Dead.
And it's illegal to be in these places.
I mean, we just watched the show.
Because there was no but all these states that did not do marijuana always have laws that were inebriated under any circumstances. They just like this. It's DWU, the driving while under the DWU. DWU driving. What's DWU? Driving under driving while
I watched it twice.
Driving while under the ambulance.
Under the
Yes, that's what I said.
I said that 5 times, but
Like, not acknowledging it.
I was thinking. So all I know is Colorado.
I went to California.
I know, the front door was. Oh, think that would be good.
You get 2 weeks to get driver's license.
And then he did examination.
So I said, so what were they trying to accomplish? I said, I came back and I was laughing at them. I said, you're not keeping them boring talking. But by making it medical marijuana, you can't tax it.
Yeah.
So they lost that money. Did you see what the number is for Colorado? What they're gonna take in? No. The first study that came out said they were taking in $99 million in
Because
taxes.
you were walking for Easter, which was.
Now they re-upped it. They took it right at $130 to $140 million in taxes this year. But dispensaries have run because it's unless they're running indoors in the desert and stuff, they're running out of food because they're not allowed to take it across state lines. They can't run it. One of the things that I asked questions I thought I was involved in.
And she used to rock and just talk to me.
I mean, her hair didn't grow, or they
No,
cut it?
no, she was like, when she was in first grade, she was joking.
You
She's
say
like, yeah, I was like the only bald kid in the class who took her hair. And she
They're
didn't
not allowed
want
to
to.
sell any crop that's not
Now
domestic.
her sister, you know, my oldest
And on
daughter,
her days
she's
of
got
custom
2 kids now too. She really
That's
talked
what she did. They were busting them. They took away the licenses because they were using American Grow, which is the whole point. It's the whole point of the meeting. You can disappear and keep all the drug money running into Mexico. Because they make their profits in the United States. But the marijuana
But
is
yeah, Jackie was 7 months, it was crazy.
Isn't that, that's like,
stuff to
She's
keep
very
going.
verbal.
she's like very high
Very
intelligence.
Actually, no, she's a
The
The other kids are very, very bright. And it's funny, they just talk as early, it's almost like they do the thinkers. Thinkers were very, I mean, she still, she does okay.
So when
She
you
was
say
in
what
like,
happened is
it's hard to present the
it's not
rest of
legal.
the And everyone
It's
else
not
just
legal.
had the
It's
same.
just not
And they
legal.
got one
It's not criminal.
in SUNY,
But
and
you
he's
can't
taking
buy
like
it.
triple calculus and
It was
statistics and
Yeah.
counting, and he's got a 4.0
They have a thing
average.
called a vaporizer built into the thing.
There's different kinds of stuff.
Vaporizer is a very
Is she artistic or?
most smoking.
She
Whether
is,
it's cigarettes or
yeah,
anything,
my daughter
Yeah,
is,
that's what I mean.
yes, very,
Yeah.
yeah, very, very, and she's got an knack for
Because the
color,
thing
and
with
she's
vaporizers are like an art. You know,
It's a different kind of.
It is.
We figured out there's an exact temperature that doesn't burn the plant material and create the carcinogens and all that. But the uses of THC is that they should get so one of the things up there.
Yeah, I was watching SpongeBob.
What is Squidward's last name?
Well, what's that in your head? That's the one that I never knew.
You just made that up.
No,
I can't say what that was. Why not? I can't. You're a self. Do that. What is it? You have to get rid of it because
I have to listen to him cry.
But what was interesting was there is
A couple people
we
know
only
me
talk
from
about
course.
and it's the
That's what all
it's
these
the
are animator.
He was trying to develop a better style.
Cartoonist.
Most people succeed at this psychological, but now
Oh, that's IT. That's software.
he started doing this course for years, and I think it's just like, if he's on the street,
just wrote
it's
the font,
just
no
crazy
rules.
stuff how
Or
effective
zeros and ones and
it
just.
is.
You just
Doing stuff
ruined
to
the
the
best
milk
thing
plants
ever.
until we got the potency up on that.
Really
and then we
good.
crossed
No
the
rules, no
field.
nothing.
That's how they got it.
What game is this?
Now when it comes to O's, 80% THC,
It just goes on forever? Is that why it's called
the funny thing is,
No,
they
actually,
What is it called?
it's really healing people, like seizures and stuff. It's not psychoactive.
well, you can go on.
I just don't feel like driving.
No, the actual stuff. I can't
They have to plug into your weed.
that doesn't
Then
put
you
you
put
inside.
meters on it.
Actually, deer or
But
not.
that's the one.
Deer, definitely a lot of deer.
Doing
Where you can make
find out.
He's the medical consultant.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
So you can take over the world.
Neither medical.
Right.
The world is
By force. You have to build an army.
well, actually, if you buy enough
DPW, that's got it.
actually,
They think you want to take it out.
Because there's over 200 sidewalks.
This stuff, you're hurting enemies.
yeah, when you do the
Doing
thing,
test runs and hunting shit. See, in America, they put it in the same category as heroin and acid.
Absolutely. Are you on a spaceship
Trust
or
me.
something?
I can't tell you about it. It's not in the same category. It's just other than
Yeah.
so they wouldn't do any
there's a
testing
figure
because
called,
it's just
there's figures for that. Mr. Incredible, Miss Incredible, their daughter, their son, there's figures for them. And their mission is to save
But he
missions.
came on TV, read the report, and then there's
CJ's pretty low key.
But they were all scared about
Is this the game that has all the
I'm scared
different
about
Disney characters in it?
Yeah.
You can play Goofy or like Mickey Mouse.
That's, it's always been, you can understand that. Actually, okay, what it was a threat to was, it was a threat to do it.
No, I mean in that game, it would be Zelda.
The people who met
It's not a Disney character. But it is Nintendo, so you see.
he loved the major investment funds. All of them.
I played
I saw something about a lawsuit.
And just what all these
Not for everybody that's just
law
out
rights in the
there,
Northwest.
but some
Time about that stuff.
sometimes game systems, people
Yeah, it's just the Constitution was written on paper.
because it was pictorial or.
You'll notice it's still in good condition.
There was something about false advertising. Yeah.
Kent uses
But
how would you prove that? Yeah,
it's out here receipts from years ago.
it was a direct threat, because now he owned all these forests, and he wasn't going to. And then, and then,
And they opened them up for Christmas, it was an electronic challenge. Didn't buy these adapter plugs,
Yeah,
because
then
they
they
were
said,
systems,
oh,
and
then
they
they
had to
brought
wait 2 days for the stores to open back up.
But it was always
So
a
you go
threat
and
to
buy those, you know, the red, yellow, and white.
It didn't come with us.
Oh,
That's
maybe
ridiculous.
that's what they were talking about.
Or,
you know, where you buy something.
During the war, why did they grow all that hemp down south? Because we needed drugs. And the hemp grew down south.
That was moving.
You could smoke an entire field.
And
You
plus,
could
I
take
was
it out.
forcing them.
But what happened was,
I-
remember
Does she know that little
how we
scale?
took the artists, Germans,
You better be careful.
and
That's
they
Should try to sell you one of those?
If you've ever seen anybody that has shirts, you don't watch it
I did it.
for years, and things like that. But, on the other hand, if we had jumped on the bandwagon, we would have been competitive, because we would have been growing it the type that you would grow for that. You can breed out these psychoactives when you have a product that makes the also grows with the challenge.
Just because I'm a demon doesn't
The
mean I'm
only thing that I have noticed, particularly with this is that he makes the way to those that he likes. So it's the same for us. If you which 1% do you think it is? No, all these rich people that are supporting him, who's like, Soros. No, Soros is I'm trying to remember all the guys, all these people.
Did you ever have one get
It's the best new show? Yeah, what, you have this basic thing. No. Well, I don't have a fancy site. No, but you have a regular HD pack. You get the regular channels on HD and channels. Supposedly HD, but you have the box.
And they were all
Yeah.
white. But the chickens were really
I gotta tell you, you need to put this on, because it has more than I knew you were gonna say Algae. I watched a couple of times with their advertising, out of curiosity, to see a very scientific show. Not yet. Okay, that's what people say. So right now, I watch, first of all, they've got a lot of all these great mysteries. Number two, when they did a story, there were no fucking talking heads to give anything. They gave you the story, but the stories they did, those were very interesting stories about America and things happening, like much closer to the real story, like the Wall Street Journal used to do. No, like CNN was when Ted Turner first started, and they were much closer to the real stuff. Like when I was growing up and you found CBS and what's his face was on crime pilot stuff. Real news, but in depth. That's why spend 10 minutes on a story, so you really get the full story. You don't get this 1 minute bullshit and nothing there. It's amazing. I mean, I turned it on because I used to put it on. I don't know what's, I said, it doesn't matter, whatever we put on. It's really in-depth journalism, but journalism is pure truth. I understand that. But even what I heard from Europe, where people were getting out the show for years, they haven't been shown that. That's the stuff in there either. And right now, you and I would recognize this bullshit. I found you, at least for now, if you put it on, there was nothing that was even remote to mind stuff. They never been released. But they were doing more stories about this country and stories that you want to see on the news, not just the or what's her face going back into the Lindsay Lohan going back into, you know, I mean, the bullshit stuff that's on CNN, even MSNBC.
MSDNC. I call it MSDNC.
Oh, got rid of it. No, what's some other Republican president's going to be called MSLSD because you're going to be on acid.
Yeah, well, I pulled that too.
Okay. But the name just changed. But I have to face it. I don't listen. They were trying to compete with Fox News and shit. And now it's just pure garbage. It's gone. I mean, it's gravel. You know, I don't need to see Enrique and some liberal fighting and saying bullshit. They actually have to do. Oh yeah. Newt Gingrich is on with the guy. The guy, he had this thing, something in America, he was very active in institutions and all that. He's actually stood up for some very good liberal causes. The thing with Barnes, they just burn their fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like when Timothy Leary went on the road with the ex-DA from Poughkeepsie. He was Apple, and the guy, he was involved in the Watergate thing. You remember the Watergate?
I can't remember the names of the people.
But before he was involved in the Nixon administration, he was the DA in Dutchess County that was always going to the Timothy and busting them all and stuff. So years later, they were college students who could get out. I said his name. Maybe.
Oh, we have company. I make a motion to come out of executive session. Roseanne's not happy. Man.
Susan said it wasn't going to take you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I know.
I make a motion we come out of executive
I
session.
did that already.
Oh, second?
Okay, all in favor? Okay, wait a second.
Second?
So, although I thought that maybe we should do this, please, can you open it in his honor?
All in favor of coming out of executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so,
No decisions were made.
no decisions were made, and,
No votes were made.
okay, and I want a motion to close this meeting, but I'd like to do the motion in honor of Brad Burchell, a longtime police officer, detective sergeant, lieutenant, who passed away, and he was a really, really, really great guy. So I'd like to make a motion to close tonight's meeting in honor of Brad Burchell.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Good night, you folks.
Closed for business, huh?
Now, do we have to...